Hey man, it's Kevin Smith.
Hey, this is Jay Music.
Hey, I'm Scott Snyder.
I'm Stina Grace.
And you're listening
to the Absolute Geek.
The Absolute Geek.
Absolute Geek.
Absolute Geek Podcast.
Check it out, Snoogans.
Welcome, everyone, to another episode of the Absolute Geek Podcast. I am Matt.
I am Matt the Jobber.
I am Kyle.
I'm the Movie D Mechanic.
I'm Jake.
Yay.
I knew it would throw somebody off.
Yay, it's Jay. Matt's a jobber. I'm like how you just probably learned that word today from me, didn't you, Kyle?
Who's Jay?
Yeah. Our quick couch crunchers for Absolute Geek. I like that name. That name should just stick. Should just be there.
Jay's just full of hate. He was hating on my hat.
Hate.
I
Hated on my hat in the pre-show.
Once you explained to me that you were celebrating the release of Paddington 2 on 4K, then I'm all on board with that.
What are you talking about? That shit's awesome.
I thought it was the complete collector's edition of Gilligan's Island.
Yeah.
Or he's at least auditioning for the Gilligan's remake on HBO Max or Peacock or whatever one of these damn streaming services are going to do it.
I want to be the millionaire.
You want to be the millionaire?
Are they doing a new Gilligan's Island?
No.
Thurston Howell the
No,
third.
but we're going to do it right now. I think.
Oh my gosh. You guys see what just happened to Jay? He just got murdered.
Brian should be the skipper, and then Sam can be the.
I can be Gilligan for sure. I'll bring the hat.
Yeah. You want to be the millionaire or the professor, Kyle?
I want to be the millionaire.
Thurston Howell the third.
There you go. Jay just got murdered, so
Jay
Jay can be the professor. He can be the one that can get you off the island by making a radio out of coconuts or something.
Well, not anymore. He's
dead. He's not doing shit. He's not doing a goddamn thing.
Nope.
So what happens when you hate on the hat, man?
He's just sitting there waiting to be resurrected again. But yeah. So welcome everyone.
Yeah, who won that digital download from last week?
Nobody won the digital download from last week. You didn't win shit. You can't win.
I was the first
you
motherfucker to write.
Because you're on the show.
I think I wrote Matt sucks. Did I win?
And
I think I was fucking first.
Because you're on the show. And Matt sucks was never part of the deal. All right.
I said it was.
I don't care what you said.
I bounced between Matt's
Then you can be the one that's giving out. Yeah, then you can be the one that's giving out the download.
Matt is gay, and Matt sucks.
Then you're the one that's giving out the download because those aren't. I never agreed to Matt sucks as being anything. Ever.
Well, somebody responded. Where's my so?
Yeah, can't leave fans waiting.
So that's all right if you want to back out of your own fucking game.
There's no backing out of the game. We never agreed to Matt sucks being anything.
Anytime it's Matt sucks, it's just the way it is.
Yeah, no. Yet, not.
Yet.
So whatever. So okay, I'm gonna start the show off with this. So I got this box this week.
Ooh, I love unboxings.
I know. Woo! All I know is it just says Bolt as who it's from.
Bolt, the action star puppy? Is that what you're talking about?
I think it's from listener Tim Bolt.
He definitely is an action star, but I think it's a more male themed porno.
I don't know what he sent me. I kept it closed because I figured it'd be funner to do a box unveiling here. So I'm going to open it right now for everybody because I've been fucking waiting since Monday to do this shit.
And that's a badass
It's going to be like a 3D printed
toy?
pocket pussy.
Some kind of sex toy?
Fuck, that's loud.
Hey, fuck yeah. I got coupons to Fry's.
Neat.
All the way from fucking wherever he's from. Okay, you guys ready? I found it. You guys ready? Ready?
Yeah.
Hold on. Don't fuck out yet. Matt, you got to go full screen on this.
I think it is full screen. I can't go any bigger.
Oh, you can't go
That's
full
what
screen
you
of Kyle on Kyle.
I can go full. Yeah, hold on. Let me get him.
On Kyle, hold on.
Let's see.
Fuck about you,
Don't
Matt.
open it yet,
I just
Kyle.
removed him. Hold on. Can I go full screen on Kyle? I don't know how to do it. Keeps going to me.
Fucking
There we go. There we go. Now we got
Okay, you ready?
Yeah.
It's blue. It's got a tail. What could it be? What could it be?
It's a Caucasaurus Rex.
It is a Caucasaurus Rex.
That is fantastic. Oh my god. Oh man, that is amazing.
It's got scales on it.
Does it got little arms, little Caucasaurus Rex arms?
No Caucasaurus Rex arms, just
Oh, it needs to have little
legs.
arms.
Yeah, it needs to have little arms. But it's got balls? Is those balls?
Yeah.
That's
got
fucking
balls.
fantastic.
Crazy.
So good.
Look, it's got
Tim,
scales.
Hands down to you, my brother.
Oh my gosh.
That is
kind of-
fucking
It's veiny.
Oh my god.
Jeez. Keep that out of your mouth, man.
If only I could 3D print Corbin's head on it.
So thank you, Tim.
That is the coolest thing. Oh,
That's
man.
fantastic.
Cheers to you, my friend.
That's
That was,
fantastic.
that was uncomfortably close to your mouth, Kyle. It's not chapstick. Jeez.
You should make it a chapstick.
Oh god, dude, that is so...
Rex.
Dude, that needs to be for sale at the Absolute Geek store. People need to be able to buy the Caucasaurus Rex.
Dude, that's awesome. That's fantastic. What a
I just
great
don't.
unboxing.
It would suck to sit on it.
Yeah.
I guess there's only one way to find out.
Is it anatomically correct? Did you send him measurements?
I don't know if it's his or not.
Jeez.
I'd hope so. I mean, why would he use somebody else's?
That's awesome.
So thank you.
I like that he's
so
got theme
awesome,
music
dude.
for it too, and it
That is
just
the coolest
playing
thing
around
ever,
with it.
dude.
You don't get this kind of entertainment on Couch Crunchers, Sam.
No, that's for dang sure. We don't put that kind of thing on Couch Crunchers.
Jay
That's
left
impressive,
already. He
my
was like, I
friend.
can't handle this, so he
Yeah.
bailed.
He bailed.
I
He
wish I could
gone.
keep it on
He
my
gone.
shoulder. You got a dick on your shoulder.
Jason Dudley in the chat says that's a solid 3 inches.
Yeah, I know.
I
what
should
three
get my
inches looks
phone
like.
out and I should
That's-
measure
That's
it.
a little bit bigger than 3 inches.
You know what 3 inches is, huh? Personal experience.
Trust me, I know what 3 inches looks like.
Yeah. How are you measuring? You might be measuring wrong. Are you measuring
Nope, that's not good.
shaft
Never mind.
tip,
Keep
or
it
are
up.
you measuring like balls to shaft
I'm measuring like
or
like
balls to tip?
like belly button.
Oh
to
no.
tip?
Oh my
Okay.
gosh.
Oh wow. Okay.
That's a new way to do it. Belly button to tip, huh?
My belly button hangs low.
Or do you just like measure the bottom of your stomach and it comes to 3 inches and you can just still barely see the tip and you're like, there it is, 3 inches.
Okay.
Stubby Caucasaurus Rex.
You weren't
That's
ready
awesome.
for that.
And like if you go
Belly
this way,
button
it
to
leans to
taint.
the
Jason
left.
says belly button to taint.
What are you even measuring at that point? You're not measuring your dick.
Trying to put it somewhere. Oh fuck. Where everybody can enjoy it the whole show.
You can put it right in your ear, Kyle.
You got a dick in your ear.
You gotta show it off one more time, Kyle. Just let everyone get a good close up of the Caucasaurus Rex. I agree. I love,
Wait. If you soak it in water, does it get bigger?
I love the detail with the balls, but I just wish it had the little arms. It just
Yeah,
needs
it
the
needs
little
little
arms.
arms. Yeah. That's so good.
Michael Stout just said, just started watching. What the fuck is going on? So everybody that is tuned
Yeah,
in,
recap
recently,
for us.
Awesome listener Tim 3D printed us this awesome Caucasaurus Rex.
Dude.
And so I just had to give him a big shout out.
I feel like you need that. It needs that like shitty Jurassic Park melodica cover behind it.
Oh my god, it totally does.
Welcome
to-
Yeah. Have you heard the real shitty melodica one? Oh, dude, hold on.
And I'll have him walk by as you play it.
Yeah, it's got to.
Yeah, it's so majestic.
We can tell you don't like this.
Are you uncomfortable?
Am I uncomfortable?
Yeah.
Are you talking to me?
Yeah.
Yes, I am quite uncomfortable. That is. Whew.
Hello, Sam. Nice to meet you. How are you doing today? I am Caucasaurus Rex. I'm so glad you got to be here for this. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. And thank you. And thank you.
Did Jay know this was happening? Is that why he
No,
bailed?
I don't know why Jay
as
bailed. I
soon
think he
as-
just got murdered and just hasn't come back.
Like, did you guys see the hand came in?
You
Hand
watching?
came in from the side, and suddenly the camera went dark,
No, I
and Jay
didn't
was
see it.
gone. He was dead.
Here, I'm gonna share my.
I
screen
really
here.
want to see Jay.
Here.
Where's Jay?
Here, get ready, Kyle.
All right.
Hold on, I gotta redo it because it's gotta let me include my audio here. Hold on a second.
I wish Jay was here. I really want to say hi to Jay.
Awesome. There you go.
Jay said, fuck this. I'm out of here.
Yeah, you did.
I thought I came on a goddamn comic book show.
Nah, you came at it with a big old blue cock, huh? Good on you.
He got murdered before the dinosaur came out.
Yeah, that's true. He did. That's so funny. That's fantastic.
I can see you. What are you doing?
I think it's in my eye, man.
Okay.
It is in your eye. Anybody else got anything you want to talk about before we start tonight?
Have a great night, everybody. That's it.
That's it. That's a
Great
great way to
show.
stop it right there.
Great show. Wonderful
Great way to
show.
stop it. Oh man, what a good time we had! We had uncomfortable Sam. We have Kyle playing with a giant blue cock.
Dude, I didn't realize that dog was all fucked up, dude. You just ruined my fucking week.
What was it?
What was it?
The dog is all fucked up now.
Like
That
going
dog
down
had
with
no
it.
neck, huh?
Yeah,
Dog had no neck.
yeah, dude.
That was the I always saw was Jurassic Park melodic. I don't know what you're talking about.
That dog was from the
jacked
upside down. He looked
Really?
like he's from Stranger Things.
The best part was you didn't have me walking it by.
Yeah,
It was the stupid dog video doing it, which actually what everyone got to see.
All right. Well, you were in the corner playing with it.
Yeah, I think you forgot to even put it on screen. Oh,
No.
boy. We're going to be dealing with this all night.
Yep.
I mean, we can go for round two if you want to play. If you want to run it back.
Here, look, watch. Listener Tim Bolt.
No, not that.
Oh, come on.
Surprise! Michael Stuss says I should be ashamed of bringing the term Caucasaurus Rex into your world, but I regret nothing. Yeah, appreciate it. Max from Couch Crusher says, "Is that a Blue Man Group prop for the 18+ show?" Absolutely.
I'm just bummed that Corbin's not here to enjoy this with us.
Yes,
because he is the spawn that created Michael Stout to say "Cogosaurus Rex."
So fucking terrible, dude.
Wow. Stupid. All right.
Fantastic. All right. Well, we brought Max. God damn it. We brought Sam in because he's been chomping at the bit. I know he's been chomping at the bit to talk anime on Couch Crunchers, but he never has anyone to talk about it. And it was announced this week that if you're a One Piece fan, the anime at One Piece, it is getting a live action show on Netflix to go along with the Cowboy Bebop live action anime. So why don't you go ahead and give our listeners who maybe don't know about One Piece, you said it yourself, you're the resident One Piece guru. So go ahead and run it down about One Piece and what you're excited about for the TV show and what we should look forward to, and maybe if there's some episode arcs that you should check out before the series starts.
Yeah, sure. So let's talk about One Piece. One Piece has been around since 1997 in comic form, or as Japanese call it, manga. And it's authored by Eiichiro Oda. There's almost 1,000 chapters of the manga. The anime has been running since 1999 and has over 900 episodes of the anime. There's also 14 anime movies, kind of different storylines, not part of the canon, but they're fun.
Is this part of the storyline?
There's nothing like that in the storyline. And about 3 years ago, they announced that they were going to do a live action adaptation with an American studio called Tomorrow Studios. These are the folks who are doing the Cowboy Bebop adaptation for Netflix. And honestly, the fandom has been kind of lukewarm at best. Most of the folks' reactions is that they don't want it because they're afraid that it's going to turn out like Dragon Ball Evolution or the Death Note adaptation. I don't know if you guys saw the Death Note adaptation, but it missed the mark. It
missed the mark by a long shot.
Yeah, Death Note, the anime and the manga were like a battle of wits between the main villain / protagonist, Light Yagami, and his antagonist / detective, L. And the movie never really got to that part. It was never really a battle of wits. It's more like Final Destination with just a dash of lovers quarrel and detective drama thrown in. It definitely missed the mark as far as the battle of wits was concerned. In fact, the detective, L, who was played by Lakeith, what's his last name? The fella who's in all the movies this year. Lakeith Stanfield, is that what it is? He played L, and he was in it for like 2 minutes, maybe 3 minutes. And so obviously people are concerned, but let me tell you
I am totally concerned.
Let me tell you why I am excited about this project. One, the author of the manga is an executive producer on the show. Two, we've seen now an adaptation of Bleach on Netflix, which was really good. A live action Bleach adaptation, which was really, really good. And what they did well was they didn't try to do too much. Now, the One Piece adaptation is only going to cover the first 100 chapters.
God, first 100 chapters?
Yeah,
How many episodes do you think it's going to be?
7,000.
It's 10 episodes. They've said it's 10 episodes.
They're going to cover 100 chapters worth of content in 10 episodes?
Yeah, well,
I think it'd be like 4 hours long.
They're going to cut out a lot of stuff, clearly. So I think it's going to be 10 hours long.
Clearly.
Which in the anime would be 30 episodes, let's say. 30 episodes, which is about half of what it took them to cover the same material in the anime. So they're going to be cutting some stuff out. They're going to be streamlining the story by a lot.
They're not cutting this out.
You can never cut that out.
Good night.
Can't unsee that now.
But I'm really excited about it. I think the painting, there's so many things that have come out since the start of the anime that have informed a lot of the things that happened early in the anime. And I'm looking forward to seeing how they kind of pull those later elements that came out in the last 5-10 years and bringing them together with the stuff that we now know was present at the beginning of the story. Again, I think there's a lot of reason to be optimistic about this. That the question is, how heavy on special effects are they going to be? I mean, with The Witcher that just came out, they had a lot of special effects, but nothing like. Just so you know, the main character is made of rubber, kind of like Mr. Fantastic, but in a more kind of action heavy. And Mr. Fantastic is kind of a goober. Let's be real. He's not like a real cool dude. He doesn't fight. He's just he's kind of a goober. But Monkey D. Luffy, like he is.
Jay seems to be insulted by your comment.
High action. You know what?
Jay came back in from being murdered.
Well, he does two fights. You were dead.
He came back in from being murdered to just be insulted.
We thought you were dead, man. All we saw was his hand come in and the camera cut to black.
Hey, continue, Paddington, please. Don't let me stop you.
He's just jealous of the hat, bro.
The tension. You can cut it with a knife.
So there's a lot of division among the fandom. I think it's probably 60% or 65% is skeptical, if not outright against this adaptation. And I think there's like a 35% minority who is in favor of it. I'm one of the optimistic ones. I think they're going to pull it off. What they need is the original creators' involvement, which they have, and just gobs and gobs of cash, which they also have. This property is worth about $460 million. And the author makes about $30 million per year. So I think they have the money if they need it. I don't think this property is going anywhere. It's been around for over 20 years. And it's actually one of the goodwill ambassadors for the 2020 Olympics. We're going to get the whole world's going to get a peek at Monkey D. Luffy come summertime. So I think there's a lot of reason to be optimistic about this and look forward to it.
It's the longest running manga, right?
That's still running, yes. Yeah.
It's exciting. Netflix is definitely jumping into the live action anime stuff pretty heavily. And because you've got not only this, but like I said, Cowboy Bebop, and then they're bringing a live-action Avatar: The Last Airbender, so they're kind of getting into that live-action anime realm pretty heavily. So,
what's the longest-running anime of all time?
The longest-running anime of all time, I don't know about anime, but the longest-running manga was called Kochikame, and it was about a police station in Japan. But it wrapped up in 2016.
See, they treat their manga almost like soaps are out here, like daytime soap operas.
Yeah. So when I say there's 1,000 chapters, that's 1,000 chapters of continuous story.
Yep.
They're not rehashing old plot lines. It's all new story with the same characters. So it's just continuous for 20 years. This guy has been writing new stories and drawing the pictures at the same time. So he writes and draws for the series for the last 22 years. I mean, that's
impressive.
It's impressive.
Busy guy.
Yeah, no joke. I mean, they've done like interviews about his work schedule. He sleeps 3 hours a night, and then the rest of the time he's just drawing and finishing his manga and
he's making $30 million a year off of it.
$30 million a year. He like one week out of 4 he will spend working on other One Piece related projects, like this live action adaptation, like the spinoff movies. I guess you can't call them spinoffs, but they're not part of the main storyline, so they're kind of like fun what ifs. and there's almost 15 of those. So I think Netflix is wisely picking up the property and trying to make something out of it. It's the best-selling manga worldwide. It sold 460 million copies. Each one's $10. If you want to go down to your bookstore, I mean, I wouldn't go to a used bookstore because people who buy them don't give them up. You won't find very many used copies of them. I have behind me all 92 volumes available in English.
That's a bonus.
So, yeah, you can go buy them. It's going to be kind of a big investment.
Are they original?
Are they original? These are the English ones.
Yeah.
They're printed by Viz.
So, according to the Google machine, Sanzi-san is the longest running Japanese animated series, and it's still currently running, and it's at 7,071 episodes.
Jesus.
When did it start airing?
Let's see. It doesn't say when it started.
That's like a new episode every day for the last 20 years.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that's
How many episodes?
7,071.
Jesus.
It's time to put that motherfucker to bed.
I was about to say. Sesame
Fuck,
Street didn't even last that long.
Jesus Christ. Fuck.
Sesame Street's still going?
Sesame Street's still going. HBO owns it now, and they produce new episodes. But they're only half hour.
Are they on public access?
They are. They get first airing rights on HBO, and then they air the reruns on PBS.
Fucking reruns.
Do they actually air them on HBO?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
On the HBO Children or whatever it is.
So it started airing on TV in 1969.
69, dude.
1969 when it started airing on TV.
Yeah, that's 40 years.
That's when the anime. It originally started in newspapers as a comic strip in 1946.
They can't be very long episodes. Are they doing them every day?
They're about 3.5 minutes.
They do have some shorts, it says here too.
I got some shorts too.
Yeah, you do. But that's pretty interesting. I knew. Like I
Is
said,
it, Matt?
It is. It is.
Is it?
Well, I like that they're finally giving you live action stuff like from animes that are hopefully going to be good, being done
They
by.
need to go back and fix Death Note.
Well, they just need to give us a good Death Note, and they don't need to fix that one.
Not a bunch of garbage.
Yeah, stick truer to the manga or even the anime than they did with that one. The only thing that worries me about the One Piece is, like you said, the special effects and how they're going to do and display Luffy's stretchability and his powers and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, in the episodes that the story arcs that they're intending to cover, there are Luffy is the biggest issue, but then there's other elements like they have these fishman pirates who are, they're like half human, half fish, but not in a mermaid way. It's like a man, a tall man who has like shark elements on his face, or a tall guy who has octopus arms. But it's kind of like the Davy Jones from the Pirates of the Caribbean series. They kind of have that kind of feel to them. So that's another effects-heavy portion of that particular story arc that they'd be covering. There's a guy who kind of turns into smoke during that.
That's what Bryan usually does about halfway through the show.
I'd say. You see my eyes light up like, whoa.
But yeah, for the most part, I mean, it's the stretchy arms. He also can like balloon up his body like a puffer fish. So those are the two things that that everyone's kind of worried about. They just want to make sure it's done in a way that isn't hokey I mean, it's meant to be entertaining in a funny way, but it's also adds to the action.
I was just about to say, a lot of the manga or the anime is kind of hokey to be funny. So it's hard not to play that off in the live action, right?
Yeah, I think the real challenge is that One Piece is coming from Japan, which has different cultural taboos than what we have. And the types of things that they find funny are not necessarily the same things that we find funny. And the other thing I'm really concerned about is kind of what I saw in the Death Note movie. I mean, if you think about the manga or the anime, Light Yagami didn't really develop as a character. He had this one idea, and he just kind of pursued it until he died. Spoiler alert. And that's kind of the same deal with Luffy, is that he doesn't really change as an individual. He has this one goal, and he pursues it, and he's going to pursue it until he dies. And that's not really character development as much as it is like a story feature. I mean, the other characters kind of change around him. That's kind of the thing with One Piece, is that Luffy is a steady constant, and everyone else kind of changes around him.
That's what Cowboy Bebop kind of felt like.
Yeah,
like you have those steady characters, and everything's kind of changing around them.
Yeah, it also kind of reminds me of the latest Mr. Rogers movie with Tom Hanks. You know, he's not even the main character because he doesn't change at all. He's already who he is, and it's everybody else who's kind of changing around him. So that's something that I hope they also do. I don't want to see a Monkey D. Luffy that's doubting himself. I don't want to see him, worried about if he's going to make it through the next fight. I just want to see him get in there and just bloody knuckles. Yeah, take out Caucasaurus Rex and just blast them all to hell. That's what I think everybody's looking for.
I wanted to touch on something real quick because Jay left.
And I want to touch on this.
Jay's back. Welcome back, Jay. I'm glad you're back. You seemed like physically pained and almost insulted that he kind of dissed Mr. Fantastic there. You're muted, buddy.
Sorry, my mic's not on. No. I just heard the very. I was just joking. The very end part about saying Mr. Fantastic doesn't fight. Mr. Fantastic gets in some scraps.
Yeah, I think what I was trying to convey is that Mr. Fantastic is a goober. He's a nerd.
Oh man.
He doesn't know.
I guess he kind of is.
Yeah.
Well, that's a great segue into one of our other topics here. So it's come out today that Marvel has been in talks with Emily Blunt about doing a movie. So are we gonna get Sue Storm? Is she gonna be Sue Storm, and her husband gonna be Mr. Fantastic, or what do you guys think of this? Do you think anything comes out of it, or do you think they're doing it just to kind of appease fans?
I mean, with all the false starts that Disney's been doing lately, I mean, I don't want to put too much stock in it, but I feel like the comics recently started redrawing Mr. Fantastic to look like John Krasinski. So I think everybody's seeing the same thing, which is that the fan cast that actually works, which is that John Krasinski and Emily Blunt could play Mr. Fantastic and Sue Storm. I don't know that it's
a little too famous to be in a Marvel movie.
Who? Either one of them?
Yeah, shouldn't they be like more no-name actors? Isn't that how good Marvel movies are made?
That is how good Marvel's movies are made. No-name actors.
That's true.
Star Wars.
Just putting that out there, just like Owen Wilson.
Yes.
Yeah.
Kyle brings
I
up
think
another.
he's too big to be in a Marvel movie.
He's not going to be in a movie though. He's going to be in the TV show.
It doesn't matter.
Wow.
Marvel property.
Wow.
He's too famous.
Wow.
John Wayne, that's a terrible cowboy name. My nose is fucked up.
Wow.
What TV
Loki.
show?
He's going to be in Loki.
It's going to be in Loki.
He was cast today to be in Loki. Wow, Loki. That's a nice staff. My nose is fucked up.
Wow.
That's a nice blue cock there you got there, Kyle.
Wow.
Wow. So you don't think Owen Wilson? You don't think he should be in Loki, Kyle?
Nope. Too famous.
I agree. I think that the TV shit should be really tame.
No-name actors.
No-name actors, yeah.
Yeah, but has Owen Wilson really done anything lately? He's not really doing anything right now.
He's always doing something. He's a busy guy.
I think his star's more on the decline
He's a
than on
busy
the
guy
rise.
because he's fucking busy.
That's right. He's a busy guy because he's fucking busy.
That's right. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
I thought Bill Burr was pretty cool in Mandalorian.
Yeah, but that was just because he was buddies with what's his name. Like that wasn't like them going out and going, "We need Bill Burr."
Oh yeah, no, but I mean, it didn't like. I don't know. I mean, are you saying like the fame will like take you out of the story kind of thing? Like,
well, no, we've had a big debate, and I know you listen to the show, but I'll forgive this one. I'll forgive this one. We had a big debate, me, him, and Corbin, on an episode about no-name actors and how Marvel basically rose to fame doing it with no-name actors, as to where DC is going after the big money blockbuster talent to get people in. So now that's Kyle's go-to is no-name actors. Marvel's got always these no-name actors.
No, you're the one who said they always have to use.
No, I know, but every time we bring anything up with Marvel now, it's no-name actors. They got to be no-name actors.
I am just backing up what you say now.
Yeah. Yes.
Well, okay, so Robert Downey Jr., Chris Evans.
Yeah, but Robert Downey Jr. was on the outskis when they gave him Iron Man. That dude was one rehab away from freaking death.
Well, he was already he was disgraced a long time. Same with Mickey Rourke, and Mickey Rourke came back as Whiplash and then The Wrestler, and those both did fantastic for his career.
Yep.
But you look at guys like Chris Evans, who was typecast into doing those stupid parody teen movies, like Not Another Teen Movie, and
the dude that plays Thor, he wasn't a very big actor.
That is true. He was on the rise in Australia, but he certainly wasn't the worldwide name he is now.
Was Tom Holland anything special before he was Peter Parker?
Nope.
No.
So
the only other
Chadwick Boseman.
He wasn't very big. He just did
Brie Larson.
Well, Brie Larson was because she did a lot of movies. She was more notable for Room before she ever joined.
Did she win an Oscar or something?
Yeah,
before
for Room. Yeah.
For Room. Make sure you don't confuse it with The Room. Oh, hi, Mark.
I love The Room. It's a fantastic movie. But I don't know. I'll stick by it till the end that I think Marvel was good, went with no-name actors and built their careers versus DC, who went after people like Will Smith and try to make blockbusters with top talent.
Well, I mean, the other issue is probably that because DC spent so much money on their actors, they couldn't afford good writers. And that's really the issue, is that the DC Suicide Squad is a great example of what happens when you have terrible writing.
But saving grace on that point, though, Birds of Prey is getting very good reviews so far.
Movie looks like
I'm excited to see it.
Shit.
You think it looks bad, Kyle?
Yeah, it looks like dog shit.
I think after the last trailer, it looks a lot better. I think the more recent trailer that came out, where you actually see Harley's hyenas and stuff.
She's gonna be breaking the fourth wall the whole time.
I like that.
You do?
I like that. She does that.
That's coming from a guy who's a Deadpool fan.
That's what I was gonna say.
Oh no, he's saying that's Deadpool's thing. Nobody else can use it.
I didn't say that. Kyle? No, sir, that's an incorrect statement.
I'm just saying, like, that's what. So why? What about that doesn't do it for you then? If it's the breaking the fourth wall,
it just looks cheesy to me. It just looks stupid. The movie looks cheesy and stupid to me.
I think she's breaking it in the trailer. I don't necessarily know if it'll be like that throughout the entire movie.
We're gonna find out. Well, I'll find out when it comes out on Redbox.
Oh, come on, you don't want to go find out in theater and have some guy gently caress your
No,
leg?
no, I'm good with that.
You're good.
When it comes out on FX on like Sunday night.
Yeah, you can't bring your little sex toy with you to the theater, Kyle.
Oh,
I can do
don't
whatever I
tempt
goddamn
him.
well, please.
He'll take it with him. You need to have him make you another one that has a loop on it, so you can put it on a chain and you can just wear it around with you.
I could be Coxsaurus Rex chain and I'll be a rapper.
There you go.
Yo, motherfuckers, it's Coxsaurus Rex, man, motherfucker. Fucking nailed it.
There you go.
But Kobe.
So let me ask you this, movie mechanic Sam.
Yeah.
Mel Gibson, Danny Glover coming back for Lethal Weapon 5. Are you excited for this? Not excited? Are they too old?
You know, there is something to be said for like the old timers going out for one last hurrah. But it feels like they did that already.
They
in this
did.
Series.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's called Expendables.
Now, I like the Expendables. I thought all those really hammy moments, like in Expendables 2, where Chuck Norris shows up and he's referring to himself as like Lone Wolf McQuaid all the time, and he takes out the whole division by himself. I mean, those hammy moments are just like, they're not just nods to their careers, but they're also nods to kind of the lore around these actors, and that can be really fun. Mel Gibson, Danny Glover. I mean, Danny Glover is pretty old.
You know what they should base this movie on? It's like the week before retirement.
I mean, they're old. They're both old enough. Well, Danny Glover definitely is old enough.
Wasn't that the whole plot of the first movie? Is that they've been trying to retire since the beginning?
Mm-hmm.
Like he's not coming out of retirement. He's coming out of a retirement home.
It'd be funny if they were old folks' home security guards.
They're Walmart security.
So what they had to do is, when it's Jello Day on Tuesday nights, Martha stole my Jello. No, over.
I'm getting too old for this shit.
Back to Jello.
So they're abusive to old people. So they're
too old for this.
So there are cops in an old folks' home who beat the shit out of old people.
Yes, because they're old too.
And steal their pills. Medicine line. They just
they're both drug addicts.
Medicine line. They just start smacking the shit out of everyone and taking their pills.
Martha, you better eat your goddamn Jello.
Betty Ann's got that good pill that makes me hallucinate.
All right, Mel, I'm gonna go for a walk.
Danny Glover is 73 years old.
I think you make the Expendables like 19 and you get Danny Glover, Mel Gibson, and Dog the Bounty Hunter.
Danny Glover's 73. Mel Gibson is 64.
Mel Gibson wasn't that good on Expendables. Like you could tell he was a little too old for that.
Right. Yeah. I mean,
there's just got to be a scene in this movie where he just leaves a racist rant voicemail on some woman's phone. Like, it's just got to be so true to Mel Gibson's life to work.
Yeah, I actually had a story that centered around old ladies with super like Herculean strength that I wrote.
The Golden Girls. It's the Golden Girls spinoff.
Yeah, it's kind of like the Golden Girls, but with super strength.
96-year-old Betty White can deadlift 1,000 pounds.
Yeah. You get the idea. But I don't know how this works with Danny Glover and Mel Gibson. I mean, it
doesn't work.
Mm-mm.
I think there's going to be a lot of old people jokes. There's going to be some fart jokes. Erectile dysfunction jokes.
It's going to be a lot of things. It's going to be in smell-o-vision, and the theater just smells like Ben Gay.
And mothballs.
Yeah.
Ben Gay, mothballs, and peed pants.
I've been too old for this shit for 20 years.
Yeah. This movie's in smell-o-vision, complete with old folks' retirement home smell.
Not at all, Geritol.
Yeah. So
I think the Ben Gay's the real seller there.
I don't know that there's a compelling story it seems like they're probably going to have to rehash the last Lethal Weapon movie, which was about them calling it quits. So I don't know. It just seems like it's a cash grab, if you're asking me.
No.
Well,
Oh man, I didn't even think about that.
what, it being a cash grab?
He's using his, that's the symbol for sarcasm, right?
Yeah, the blue Caucasaurus Rex.
The blue Caucasaurus Rex of sarcasm. Sarcasm.
Well, speaking of cash grabs, so Disney's announced that there's a Mighty Ducks remake in the works, and they just announced that Emilio Estevez is signing on to come back and play Gordon Bombay. So talk about trying to rejuvenate your career. And
I think it'd be better if they were all smoking crystal meth and breaking into people's houses. That's what really happened.
so it just follows Goldberg, the Goldberg stories.
The whole team, they're all just
Bunch of meth addicts.
They could never get over the high of being the Mighty Ducks. So now they all are just behind the Circle K dumpsters smoking meth, and they break into houses to feed their addiction.
Shit went south for him after they won the Junior Goodwill games. And then,
And what Bombay comes in to do is he comes in to be like,
intervention.
No, he's gonna help them do it better.
You gotta quit smoking it.
He's bringing them. Yeah, he's gonna help them break into a higher class of houses.
he's gonna be like, that's great that you guys are smoking meth and breaking into houses, but if you try black tar heroin,
Yeah, only rookies smoke it.
he's gonna kick it up a notch to the pro level.
You need to shoot that shit.
Get that pro level drug addiction going.
That's what should happen.
Goldberg does look fucking awful. I agree with you, Chad. He doesn't even look like the same person anymore.
It's because he's not. He's got about 30 years of meth and heroin abuse.
That guy has been living hard. He has been living hard.
Living that
I
good
feel
life.
bad for that dude, man. Could you imagine how shitty that is?
Yeah,
Like everybody calling him Goldberg, and he's fucking sucking dick for meth. It's just
not this one.
That one's all yours, Kyle.
This should totally be an intervention for Goldberg. Yes. Well, just get Chris Hansen attitude. Just sit down. Sit down. Let's talk to you about your meth use.
Hi there. I'm Chris Hansen.
Yeah. You breaking into the house. Come here.
Yeah, you come here.
Come have a seat over here.
So you're breaking into this house, huh?
How far that dude's career's fallen to?
who?
Chris Hansen.
Chris Hansen.
Who's Chris Hansen?
You don't know who Chris Hansen is? He's the dude from To Catch a Predator.
Catch a Predator. Now he's announcing the blue plate specials at your local Denny's.
Like nobody wants him, so he went and created his own YouTube channel now where he chases predators.
Really?
Yeah.
No way.
Did he get in trouble for something, or
No,
it's just that it fell out of the zeitgeist.
I vaguely remember maybe there was some scandal involving him, and he kind of just fell to the wayside.
He was smoking meth and breaking into houses.
With Goldberg, it was a party. The quack attack is back, Jack. Yeah, Gordon Bombay just is he's a hallucination he has when Goldberg smokes up, and he just shows up and
it's like Veronica Mars.
Yeah, he just shows up and disapprovingly looks over him as he's passed out.
Meth, he's not passed out.
Yeah. I don't know. I've never smoked meth. Why don't you tell me what it does, Kyle?
I'm just saying, you don't go, everyone knows you don't go to sleep on meth.
That is, you don't go to sleep on coke.
Same fucking thing. They're both amphetamines.
I don't know about meth, so I personally don't smoke it. So if I did, I'd probably be about like 200 pounds lighter.
Not necessarily the most overweight dude I've ever seen in my entire life with my own two eyes was the biggest meth addict I'd ever known.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, there goes my diet.
Yeah, you get to a point where you just you have to have it every day just to, you know what I mean, and it becomes normal.
Oh yeah.
This dude was so overweight and I felt bad for him because he was both he was so big that he would lay on the ground.
Hungry and high.
He would lay on the ground on his chest, and he would rest his head on his fat from his chest and look up. It was weird. Dude.
Look up at the stars.
Like at the TV, you lay on the ground, and you know how when you're on the ground on your chest, you're looking straight down, but all the fat from his chest would push up, and he'd put his chin on it.
So you almost look like a walrus.
Yeah, exactly. What it looked
Tuskless walrus.
Yeah, and it was like meth pipe next to him. You know what I mean? That type of shit. This dude was probably 700 pounds.
Well, I mean, if he wasn't on meth, he might have been 9. Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
Chad says, I bet he had some crazy meth sweats.
Oh, dude, gangster.
You know who else loves meth is the.
That
you know who else
motherfucker
loves
probably
meth?
farted rocks.
Who also
meth
loves
rocks.
meth? Half of Arizona.
Yeah.
You know who else loves meth is the North Koreans. They give meth. They give meth like they were offering tea
to their soldiers.
Oh, bad name.
Like you come into their house, and instead of offering you tea, they offer you crystal meth.
That'd be fucking pretty crazy.
They're not a party.
The whole country.
Tim says, "Are you guys reviewing Tusk?" Yep. That's exactly what's going on. We're reviewing Kevin Smith's Tusk.
They come in, they give you some meth, and they guys all clean the house together.
Yep. So it's no longer. It's no longer a man who gets turned into a walrus. It's just a fat meth addict who just, unbeknownst, becomes a walrus because he's so obese. It just naturally happened.
Oh, you don't.
That's a good representation of it, Kyle.
All right, so did you guys read any good books this week?
I haven't. Let me ask you this. What's
riddle me this, Matt?
Yeah, well, riddle me this. This is becoming a segment where I ask Bryan this every week. What's the new issue of Thor doing to the speculation market?
So the speculation market has hasn't died down on Thor, because the hottest book in the land right now is a Thor cover. I'm sure you guys have seen it. It's the
shut that damn dog up.
I know, my dog is going nuts.
It's the that new cover. I think it's called Tarot. Is that what it is? New comic. It's called Tarot, and it's got the cover of Thor versus Hulk on it. Have you guys seen that?
Yeah.
So let me go ahead and do this. I'm glad you guys are asking this because let's see here. I just got done doing it. Sorry about this, guys. All right, so I'll give you guys these. So the top books basically. I'll just go through a quick rundown. Here we go. So here's the number one book in the land. I'm glad you brought this up, Matt. It is. I'm sharing my screen. If you want to go ahead and throw it up there, Matt. This is that Avengers Defenders Tarot. It's the Inhook Lee variant, which is just going crazy right now in the secondary market. I've seen a couple like $100 sales left and right on this book. That's that. Yeah, this is a beautiful cover. I mean, anytime you see like Thor versus Hulk or Hulk versus Thing or Hulk versus basically anybody, and a good artist, it's going to be a hot cover, especially if it's a ratio.
We would be able to see it on the YouTube page a lot better if Matt's mic wasn't muted and a big bar that says your mic is muted is a goddamn fucking book. Here, let's do this. All right, continue.
There we go. All right, so this is book number 2. Read Only Memories. I don't know. Is this a anime type issue? I don't know much about this. Maybe you guys do.
I've never seen that before.
Yeah, so this is number 2 on the list this week. I don't know much about it. I don't know why yet. Of course, this was a hot last week. This is the first appearance of Darth Revan, the first full appearance, and this book is just going nuclear. It's a $50 book raw. First appearance of Brother Voodoo is super hot because of all the rumors. I think that we're going to be obviously be seeing him soon. Conan the Barbarian is hot this week again. This is I've never heard of this. Memetic. Have you guys heard of this book?
No.
This is James Tinian, a Boom book.
What is this on the screen?
What's that?
Nothing.
And then this is that from that Picard. This Picard book is hot because it's a photo variant. For those of you guys that don't know, when it comes to Star Trek and Star Wars stuff, for some reason, certain photo variant books just go through the roof. People love their photo variants when it comes to Star Wars and Star Trek.
Yeah,
it is cool. Yeah, so I don't know. Have any of you guys seen this show yet? I watched the first episode just because it was free on Amazon. I'm like, oh, check it out. It was so cheesy, man.
Was it really?
Oh God, the acting was horrid. It just seemed so cheesy. It was really bad. And I really like Patrick Stewart. He's a really good actor. So I was just surprised how bad it was.
So is it like close to like how the first few seasons of Enterprise were?
No, nothing like that, man. You wish you're watching Enterprise, dude.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, it's that. I don't know. Maybe I watch Star Trek stuff differently because I hate Star Trek so much. But I was always a fan of Jean-Luc Picard's that character. That character was a really good character, and my uncle was really into Star Trek when I was a kid. So I remember him. He was always telling me, "Oh, you got to check out the Borg stuff. The Borg stuff is really dark." And I was like, "Yeah, Star Trek," but the Borg stuff is kind of cool,
It's really cool.
So yeah. So anyways, book number 8 is this Ice Cream Man variant. We all know that people just love homage covers, and this book is a $15 raw book right now, and I think it just came out.
I was wondering why I've been seeing those like showing up on the Facebook groups and stuff.
Yeah, this is a Steranko cover that he did for it's called Airboy. It was a I'm not sure if it's a newer book, an older book, but this is a Steranko sketch cover that's getting a lot of love right now. So I don't know if it was new or not. And then this is along with we've seen that Clone Wars #1, the Image or the Dark Horse book. I mean, that book is $100 raw. The variant goes for $800. That is tied with this book, which is kind of like a little pulp book. That came out the same month, and this one's nice because you also have how do you say her name, Matt?
Ahsoka.
Ahsoka's on the cover and very prominent instead of just her back towards the view. You actually get her up front, and it's pretty cool. So that was rounded out the top 10. And then for this is honorable mention. I don't know what's going on with this book, but this is from the New 52 run, Deadly Homecoming. This might have something to do with something that's going on in the series right now. I don't know.
Well, the show just ended. The show, I was going to talk about that a little bit too. The show just came to an end. Okay. The final episode just aired the other night.
Well, maybe that has something to do with it. I don't know if that was one of the last books or what, but this is one of the all-time greatest pre-code horror covers. I mean, this is one of my top 3 all-time favorite covers. Almost impossible to find, yet alone in good grade. But I just love that cover. I mean, I don't think you can get better than that cover when it comes to pre-code horror. In my opinion, I think that's probably my favorite pre-code horror cover. It's just really hard to find. So any of those Punch Comics books are hard to find, yet alone this one. This one is just, I mean, it's very rare to see a pre-code horror book have all the different suicide attempts in it. I mean, this guy's getting stabbed in the back. He's getting shot. He's hanging him. He's got a guy hanging him, and he's the artist. And I don't know. It's just a really cool book that I love. Pre-code horror, pre-code crime, all that stuff. It's just it's really cool. And to think that this came out in the 50s, and it looks, I mean, you could tell it's a 50s book, but when you get some of these pre-code horror books that are super vibrant, like some of the stuff that Chuck got in his collection. I mean, Chuck has some super vibrant pre-code horror books. Unfortunately, the majority of the pre-code stuff he got is like falling apart, but he has some that's just so vibrant. And if you could imagine seeing something like this come out of that collection, this vibrant, I mean, you got a $5,000 book on your hand easy. So, yeah, that was the top 10.
Jay, did you read Thor yet, Jay?
Yeah.
So Thor number 2?
Didn't that just come out?
Yeah, it came out Wednesday.
Okay, no.
So I asked about that, Bryan, because there's some speculation that it ties into like the destruction of the DC universe. Like supposedly Galactus does something to the DC universe.
DC universe.
Yeah. So
really?
there's some crossover to the DC universe.
Really?
In it? Yeah, that's what I've been hearing. It was a huge book. Like it was flying off the shelves this week.
Oh crap! You know, it's funny that you mentioned that because I was just thinking, like a few months ago, they each dropped like subtle little hints about the existence of each other's universe. Like there was this scene, it might have been like the Heroes in Crisis or something, where Booster Gold and Skeets were talking, and Booster said something about Jarvis, and Booster says, "Oh, wrong universe, Skeets." And then it was like the very end panel, and then DC did the same thing. I think it might have been an Iron Man where he was talking to Jarvis and he referenced something about Alfred, and I'm like, "Whoa, that's pretty cool." And it was like within a week or two of each other, and then like nothing else was said. I'm like, "That's kind of bizarre because that doesn't really happen very often." But now this Thor number 2, you said it references something about
that was the big thing that was going around the internet, is that it references the DC universe, either Galactus destroying it or it makes reference to the DC universe. And I know it was flying off the shelves. I had to go to 2 different comic stores and they were all sold out of them. And finally, Alex, shout out to Alex at Samurai, pulled it out of his personal box and gave it to me to purchase because I was looking for it. So yeah, it's been selling like hotcakes.
So what issue are they on? Issue number 2?
Issue number 2,
yeah.
And what did you see the reference?
I haven't read it yet. So once I read it, I'll be able to talk more on it. That's why I was kind of hoping that you had a little bit more insight on it, but I haven't had a chance to sit down and read it yet.
I'm looking at it. I'll see if I can.
I have it. I just haven't sat down to read it yet.
Well, it does. It has some weird stuff that you could tell in like the first couple pages might be what they're talking about, but I don't know. Without getting into it too much, I don't know. But they have a little first couple pages might be it, but you kind of looks like you might have to sit down and read it.
Put it on the screen. Let's see it.
Yeah.
IGN did a write-up on it on the 29th of January.
What did they say?
Well, it has the page talking about this thing called the Black Winter, which is gobbling up.
Yeah, that's the main villain that took out Galactus.
And they don't make a direct reference. They say that there's a sun god, a god of emerald light, a god of dark, perhaps, a god of the ocean, of speed, of strength.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was talking about. So in the first couple pages, you can see that I don't know if you want to share this, Matt, but you can see that everything's kind of fading away like it does in Avengers. And here you can see the Daily Planet, all right? And then you can see Superman flying by. And then you can see here's Flash, here's Green Lantern, Sun God, a god of emerald light, a god of dark.
And then you also have a shadow that's Batman right there.
Yeah. So that's pretty interesting. This universe, like so many before it, is protected by leagues of gods. That's kind of cool. Many of them powerful as those you have always known and marveled at, and all of them united, powered beyond imagination by the belief of the faithful, will not be enough. And it just shows a hand just crushing it. That's kind of cool. So interesting.
Thor number 2?
Thor number 2, yep.
Huh.
So,
well,
there's your boy Donnie Cates doing big things.
Yeah, my favorite. What was I gonna say? God damn it! You brought up Donnie Cates, and just everything just ends every time I hear that. My world stops. They've been talking for a while about doing a new, type of cross, publisher thing like they did with Avengers versus X-Men or whatever, Marvel versus DC back in the day. And there's been rumors of that for about a year now, where you can kind of people talking about it and saying that it could happen again, and maybe that's what we're seeing. That would be cool.
Interesting.
I don't like gimmicks like that, but you never know. It's totally obvious. It's Superman, though. I mean,
yeah, it's
beyond obvious. Like you literally see him. Like they go as far as just drawing him. It's unreal. So,
I'm interested to see what the deal with that Green Lantern book is, or not Green Lantern, but Green Arrow book is, because like I said,
I can tell you that. Yeah. So basically, they're saying because of from whatever spoilers there are, John Diggle's a big thing now.
So he is now a Green Lantern.
Oh, he's a Green Lantern, huh?
Yeah.
Really?
Yep. That happened in the series finale. Spoiler alert.
I don't watch that anyway. So.
But yeah, he becomes a Green Lantern in the final episode of Arrow.
So
it's been hinted at for seasons, though.
Green Arrow number 24 is his first appearance in continuity, but his actual first is Arrow number 1.
Oh, for John Diggle?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Isn't it?
It is.
Yeah,
so that's a $10 to $15 book right now. Because
Because I mean, because Arrow ended, it was a good ending, and as they're showing the final scene, Diggle says that he's going to move to Metropolis because now crisis has happened. Like Star City, there's no crime in Star City, so he took a job in Metropolis, and he's loading up his van to move to Metropolis, and a meteor crashes in front of him and basically blows him back into the van. And he walks up to the meteor and picks up a box and opens it, and then a giant green light shines on his face. And
wow.
And in the previous crossover last year, the Monitor makes reference to him and says, John Diggle, I'm not used to seeing you without your ring. So he's going to be he's a Green Lantern now. Which makes me wonder if he's going to be the Green Lantern that's going to be featured in one of the Green Lanterns featured in the HBO Max series.
No. Well, I don't think that would give that actor that big of a role. He's not a good actor.
I don't know.
So, Matt, did you see what was number 2?
I didn't.
So, number 2, let me share a screen just so I can show you. I figured you'd like this. I just was looking to see what was the reason this was so hot.
Read Only Memories?
Yep. So the reason why it's hot isn't because of Scenic Grace, but I figured you would like that. But it's hot because of the Peach Momoko cover. She is just, I mean, everything that artist has put out has been on the top 10 list. Her books are just going crazy. She's got I'm thinking it's a chick. I hope I'm right on that. That she's got Peach Momoko. I don't know, maybe.
Momo means peach, so it's peachy.
There you go. So she's got a cover coming out from the new Miss Marvel book that's everybody's saying is going to be super hot next week. So interesting. But there's your boy Scenic Grace getting some love on the Hot 10.
Good. He needs more of it.
Yep.
He needs more work. I'm trying to find a picture of Peach Momoko, but
no, yeah.
I'm getting us the covers.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, no.
No, yeah.
We'll talk about the no yeah after the show, because there's a good story behind that.
No, yeah.
But
I'm sure it's not.
I know it really is. You'll get a kick out of it. I'm just not going to tell it on here because I'm not going to implicate myself. But yeah, I just wanted to see, like I said, what that Thor book was going to do to the market, or if it was even in anyone's radar with the DC stuff. Because I kind of thought it was cool how that was flying under the radar a little bit.
Dude, take a look at how beautiful this cover is. I don't know if this is a cover or what, but this is some Peach Momoko work. Look at that. That is freaking amazing.
Yeah, she's got a cover to Fallen Angels coming out, it looks like. There's one for her. It was Silver Surfer
Is that
Black.
like Red Riding Hood?
Silver
Yeah.
Surfer Black #4. Doctor Strange. And of course,
She did that really cool
spider.
Gwen Stacy one.
Mhm.
So, anyways, interesting.
Her art is pretty dope. So going into a story that we covered last week about Penis Man. Fitting with Kyle's little toy. We had a graffiti artist going around Tempe tagging Penis Man on everything. Well, he got arrested. And they came to his house with the SWAT team.
And like there was like 100 officers who were there.
So is that a little excessive for a dude who's just tagging Penis Man?
Yeah, it's just a graffiti guy.
And then he admitted that he's just a copycat.
A copycat.
So the original Penis Man is still out there.
He's still at large.
Fuck. All we did was arrest this mid-30-year-old man who's copying somebody else. It sucks. He probably drives like a 97 Toyota Corolla.
They treated him like public enemy number one. And I'll tell you the reason they do this. It's the same reason Dog the Bounty Hunter goes after DUI bail skippers. It's because they're not dangerous. They can show up there. There's no weapons. No one's going to be shooting at them. So they get to look cool. They get to look tough. But there's no threat to them. That's why the whole squad showed up for this, is because there's a lot of publicity and very low danger.
We're getting demands for the No Yeah story.
I'm not telling the No Yeah story. I'm sorry. It's not happening.
You've already brought it up.
That's fine, but it's not happening. Maybe if we get 200 subscribers tonight, I'll tell the No Yeah story.
God.
I'm not implicating myself because I'm not showing up to work Monday morning and fucking having to face consequences.
Nobody from your work is watching.
You don't know.
I do know.
You don't know.
I know all 15 people that are in this chat right now.
but so he shows up with a SWAT team for someone who's not threatening. Like that just seems like a waste of taxpayer money to me and overkill.
Yeah, for sure.
Or dude just writing Penis Man on things.
They don't know. They don't know if he's threatening or not.
Yeah, they do. That's why they all showed up.
Make him clean the damn graffiti off. Like
they could have gone up and just knocked on his door politely and said, "Hey, are you the guy?" and arrested him. They didn't need to show up with the SWAT. There was no threat. There's not even a hint of a threat. What's he gonna do? Spray them or get out his Sharpie and write on their badge? Get real.
That's just cops being dicks.
Yeah, Penis Man.
Or Penis Man.
Penis Man. Kyle's a penis man. Not even listening. Not even listening to show a little blue cock off.
Yeah.
I think he got lost in his whiskey over there.
That you were correct, Kyle. You just nailed it on the head.
Yeah.
So it's not that good of a story. You told me that story.
No. It's a fantastic story. When did I tell you that story?
So this is what you do. Tell a story, and every time you want to say smoked or ate edibles, just say ordinary.
Oh, no, dude. No. Fuck it. So, yeah, I was like fucking here. They're still sitting on my desk. I was eating these during the show. Okay. So I ate one, whole one, and I was like, all right, I'm not feeling it. I'm not feeling a thing. So I ate another half
number
of
one.
Yep.
Right.
So I ate another half of one. And as you guys remember, Kellen came into the show as we were recording, right?
Yeah.
So he handed me a piece of pizza. I ate the piece of pizza. By the time the show was over, I was fucked. So when I started saying no, yeah, that's when it started. But by the time the show was over, I was fucked. Like it was like I was sitting in the living room talking to Kellen, and it was like we were having a coherent conversation, and then it felt like a dream. So I was like snapping in and out of reality. I got so high, I spent the night on the fucking bathroom floor. I threw up. He said I demolished like 20 chicken wings in about 5 minutes. and I got so high that I threw up and I slept on the bathroom floor. Like I was so high I couldn't move my body. I couldn't do anything. So that's what Yeah No was.
That's pretty bad.
Was me fucking up with edibles.
So the first rule that I tell everybody that I know when it comes to edibles is take just a little bit. And when you think that you might want to take more because it's not kicking in, don't.
Hey, you remember that first time that we were on the first time we came on Absolute, we were doing the 90s episode. Wasn't it?
What?
When Bryan ate too many edibles?
No, we came on to interview you and Bryan when you guys were selling comic books and you had your eBay store. And Bryan got fucked on gummy bears. And as we're talking, he's just like, hey, check out this video. And he just starts playing videos on his phone as we're recording. And I mean, he's done that a couple times on the show too since then. But yeah, he just started playing videos on the show while we were recording. He was fucking gonzo. And the other time I did it was, if you ever listen to What the Fuck Friday, the Squirrel Team 6 episode, I was completely gone for that one because if you remember, I was falling asleep during it.
Yeah,
I was donezo. So I don't do edibles often, but because I don't know how to control them. And
so Tim said, "Did you tear down the shower curtain and use it for a blanket? If you didn't, then you weren't that trashed."
I did not, but I definitely slept in my bathroom on the floor, propped up against the tub. Like I was fucked.
I've never heard anybody throwing up.
Like Kellen gave me a cowtail. At some point, we went to the gas station to get stuff, more munchies, and he gave me a cowtail. And everyone knows what cowtails are, right? The candy.
Yeah.
And I had described it to him. I said, dude, it feels like a river of chocolate running down the back of my mouth.
Gross.
And he looks me dead in the eye, and I remember, and he goes, there's no chocolate in cowtails. And he's like, it's caramel. And I was like, what? He goes, uh-oh. And like, I lost it. I had like a 35-minute laughing fit, he said. Because he was just like, uh-oh, to my reaction of not there being no chocolate in cowtails. It did. It felt like it was a river of milk chocolate running down the back of my throat. So Cockasaurus Rex. That's what started. That's when No Yes started, was when I was feeling pretty good. It was right after I started digesting the pizza, and from then it was game over. So
neat.
That's when No Yes started. Yeah.
Neat.
So. Yeah. Nubia said, "Don't eat any more of those." Right.
Right. Lightweight.
Yeah, I know.
I think that'll probably be a great way for you to spend the Super Bowl on Sunday.
No. I'm good. I'm good. Just like, well, Kyle knows when we went to Fan Fusion last summer, and I got high, and then we Ubered down there, and I was freaking out I was sweating and like.
Like sleeping. Wait, was that how the Walking Dead panel? Is that why you guys are like? He's not following the rules.
It was
He's
the same day.
not following the rules.
Yeah, it was the same day. I was fine by that, but it was the same
That's
day.
when Sammy Hagar drove us to.
Yep, it was when Sammy Hagar drove us
to Fan Fusion.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Sammy Hagar was your Uber driver.
He was. And I was sweating.
Dude, he was sweating and he was leaning against the window and like half asleep. I was like, "What the fuck is wrong with you?" You took like 2 hits.
One of those deals where the camera gets up real close and you're like, "What's going on?"
Yeah. I was fucked.
I don't know if I could do this.
That's what No Yeah.
I think I'm gonna go home.
That's what No Yeah came out of. So there. Now everyone knows No Yeah.
That was a really neat story.
It was a fantastic story.
I give that story 2.5 couch cushions.
No throw pillow, dude. Not even a throw pillow in there for.
I'll add an ottoman.
Jay looks so enthused. He's just
Jay.
he's just sitting there like reading his Bible or something. He's praying for all of our souls.
I want to go back to if you guys read any good books this week, because I am so far away from Wednesday being a Wednesday warrior that and I'm contemplating getting back in. But it's just I don't know if I want to go deal with that again. So my question was kind of to get into this. Are you guys going on Wednesday to pick up your books?
No.
Yeah, I go on Wednesdays.
I haven't been to the comic book store in 2 weeks.
Yeah, I'd probably go like Thursday, sometimes Saturday. But I don't like going on Wednesday because there's so many people there. Like pretty much every store on Wednesdays is crowded. And I don't know. I'd rather just wait a day or two.
Should hit up Surprise Comics on Wednesday.
Yeah, I'll drive like. Oh yeah,
no,
Brian.
Is there nobody there? Is that the reason why?
Well, no, but they get. It's not like the other comic stores where they put their variants online, so you have a shot at all their variants, even the 1 in 100s. You have a shot at their variants. They open at 9 a.m. They're the only comic book shop I know of that opens at 9 a.m.
That's really early.
And it's first come, first serve. They don't save. They save the box stuff, but like on their high dollar variants or their hard to find stuff, it's first come to first serve. So that's where I would start if you're going to look at Wednesday worrying.
That's too much work.
But yeah, that's a lot of work. That is a lot of work because you got to get back into the speculation part of it, and
exactly
you gotta be all up in it on it. So, Chad, I give that story 2 bath rugs and a shower curtain and a toilet fluffy top.
Hey, don't forget the toilet. Don't forget the toilet brush.
The toilet brush.
I give it 3 plungers and some disinfectant
and a Lysol scrubbing spray.
Yep. One of those little blue
urinal cakes.
Yeah.
And a urinal cake.
Say no to drugs.
You guys any of you guys going to the Phoenix Open this weekend?
No.
You're not gonna join Jose and streak across the field like you did a couple years ago.
Go there and look at all the $30,000 millionaires.
There you go.
$30,000 millionaires. Explain that.
So it's people who dress like they're rich, but they really aren't.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
They've got the fancy car and the fancy clothes and
they're a baller on a budget.
They're talking about how badass they are, but they're really not.
Gotcha.
Wow. So
that event though is pretty crazy, man. It just seems like it gets crazier and crazier every year. Do you guys remember the story about Christian Kirk, Arizona Cardinals wide receiver, when he got drafted, the year he got drafted? Did you guys hear that?
No.
So Christian Kirk was a hometown kid. He went to, I think, like Mesa Mountain View or something like that, or some school here in the Valley. And he ended up going to Texas, I think, or Texas Tech, one of the two, for college. And he was a first round pick coming out of college. And so the Cardinals were like, yeah, we're going to take this kid. And it was basically a deal was done months before because they're like, well, it's hometown kid. We need receivers. This fucking moron. Well, it's not too big of a moron because it really didn't hurt him in the end. The NFL draft was coming up and the Phoenix Open, he goes to the Phoenix Open and gets arrested in the parking lot of the Phoenix Open, super coked up with 2 of his good buddies throwing boulders through car windows.
Oh my gosh. He went to Saguaro, by the way.
Yeah, Saguaro. A first round fucking draft pick, coked up at the Phoenix Open, throwing boulders through car windows.
Told you not to be stupid, you moron.
Yep. No, that's how crazy the Phoenix Open can get. Is Tiger playing there yet?
I don't know. Isn't it?
I thought he refused to play there.
That's what I was getting at. Yeah.
Isn't it just golf? It's just golf, right?
Yeah,
no, it's a fucking party.
Yeah, it's a party. Nobody goes for the golf; they go for the party. Like that's what they're going for. Like Dirk, they have concerts there all weekend. Like Dirk's Bentley is there tonight. So
there's supposed to be 230,000 people showing up today.
Yeah,
but it is just golf, right? Like, I feel like this is one of those things where people are like taking it to a level that it kind of leaves behind the original reason for it to exist.
It's a reason to party. That's what it is. It's a reason to party. So, what do you guys think about the coronavirus?
Scary as shit.
Do you really think it's scary?
I haven't drank a Corona since I heard about it.
All right.
Yeah. Be far away from that Mexican beer.
That's the funny thing is that now Corona is getting in on it, and they're offering $15 million to change the name of the coronavirus to Bud Light virus.
Who are they going to pay that money to? Are they just going to find like the Chinese bio terror factory where this virus was manufactured and say, please name it something else?
Kyle, apparently your grandmother's going to the Phoenix Open.
Wow, good for her.
Well, who's she going with in chat?
Someone in the chat just said, Kyle, your grandmother is going.
Have fun. Don't drink too much.
But, yeah.
Okay. All right, gentlemen, I'm out. I got to go.
Where are you going?
I got to go too.
I got to drop my smoke bomb.
I got to go too. I got to put my kiddos to bed.
Wow.
Wow, he gone.
So,
was that just a ploy to get rid of Bryan and me?
I think it was.
No, he's got a usually hot 10 show. No, I'm going out. The wife and I are going out. She has Friday night off.
Oh, fantastic. Where are you going?
Ooh.
To the bar.
To the bar. Are you going to sing some karaoke?
I will enjoy watching other people do karaoke.
If you had to pick one song to do for karaoke, what would it be?
How Soon Is Now?
Like right now? No, is that the name of the song?
Yeah.
You gonna drink some Corona?
No.
No.
Get sick. Fuck that.
You get to drink the Bud Light virus.
I kind of sang one time a couple weeks ago.
What did you sing?
I don't know what song it was.
That's riveting.
Some drunk dude came up, was singing, and he walked next to me, put the microphone on my face. We sang together like we were best friends, and then he left.
Is it the dude that tells you you're
He
ugly
broke
all
your
the time?
heart.
No, it's in a different bar. The guy, the new bar I'm going to, the guy who calls me ugly isn't there.
He broke your heart, didn't he, Kyle? I'm sorry.
Yeah. It was Barbie Girl. You're right, Tim.
You're ugly.
If I actually did do a song, it would probably be. Yeah, I would probably do. I'd do How Soon Is Now. I might do a Joy Division song.
Give us a preview.
Joy Division, something with not a lot of range, huh? Just kind
Yeah.
of
Something that's like keep like a deep voice to it.
He said, if you don't do that, you're a bitch. Tim said.
Let me tell you, my 8-year-old kid asked his teacher if he could sing anime theme songs for the class, and he freaking did it. So if he could sing anime theme songs for his 4th grade class, I think he could handle this.
I could sing for a bunch of drunk people.
Send us out with a little Joy Division, Kyle. Sing it.
No, I'm not a singer.
Come on.
Hey, this ain't American Idol. Come on, you can handle it.
Okay.
No. I got to keep my voice good for when I go there.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, no, don't want to strain it.
Oh, Jay, I almost forgot you were here, bud.
Oh, yeah.
You've been so quiet. You've been so quiet over there.
But hey,
I'm
you guys
here.
enjoy the rest of the show. I will see everybody next week.
There you
Hey,
go.
have a good time.
Hey,
See you
dude.
later, Kyle.
Later, man.
But
I gotta go too. I gotta take my dog for a walk.
what is this bullshit?
No,
I
I'm
gotta
kidding.
go. If you gotta go,
kidding.
go ahead, Sam. Thanks for filling in.
Jay has to actually say something before he goes, though.
I'm not
You gotta-
going.
You got to give us something.
Jay's gonna warrior with me.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
We're gonna do
Kyle is
Spinner
a
Rack
pussy.
Part 2.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, gents.
Have a
I
good
gotta
night.
put them
Thanks,
kiddos to bed.
thanks, movie
Thanks
Demon
for
Kid.
letting me come on and go on and on about One Piece.
No problem.
Have a good night.
You too,
See,
man.
dude.
Everyone's dropping like flies. What kind of shit is this?
So it really is just me. What the?
Yeah,
okay.
it's just us, man.
So what
Yeah.
would have happened if I didn't come on?
I don't know. We would have.
Just lights out.
Yeah, it's just been lights out. But I mean, it did kind of look like you got murdered when we first started.
Sorry.
All you see is just a hand come across the screen, and you were gone. So
I've been distracted this whole time.
Clearly, reading some books, were you?
What? No. The reason I left is because my kid got sick, and we were running around thinking if I should take him to the emergency room or not. He's laying on the couch.
Yeah.
So I've been off my game. So I'm sorry.
No, dude, you're good. You're good. So I guess let's fuck it. Let's give shit away. So I still got a digital copy of Jay and Silent Bob Reboot to give away. How should we give it away, Jay?
Dude, that's a good question. What have you done in the past?
Normally, it's
just
so
I can get a scope.
Normally, it's like the first person to comment in the chat or recall a moment that we've done previous on the show, stuff like that. So I can give away one digital copy of Jay and Silent Bob Reboot.
Okay, so how about
let's not make let's not pull a Couch Crunchers and make it overly complicated.
No. I was just gonna say the first person who could name Corbin's favorite Batman book.
Now that all of the uneducated book lore has left, we're at the facts. You are at the facts. That's right. So Corbin's favorite Batman book?
Yeah, I remember.
I feel like that's super easy, but we'll go with it.
Well, whatever.
We'll go.
If anybody can. Okay. And Corbin is excluded.
I almost wanted to do the person who posts the best Kobe Bryant meme, but I don't. That's kind of dark. That's kind of dark. Travis, you want to come in? I'll bring Travis in.
Oh, is Travis in here?
Yeah, Travis is in the chat. I'll bring Travis on. Travis, I'm gonna send you the link, bud. Or we'll bring Travis in. We'll keep this party going. And now that get some educated people up in here. If you guys have not listened to Comic Exposure, go check out Comic Exposure. I just did a show with them before doing our show tonight, and it was a lot of fun. Their show is definitely a big deep dive into comics, and we talked Outcast, Robert Kirkman's Outcast. I'll have to find out from him when he comes in when that show goes live, but it was a lot of fun. You guys check out Comic Book Exposure. TK421 Gotham by Gaslight. Chad says Chad says Gaslight Gotham by. Gotham by Gaslight. I mean, I guess you choose who you want to give it to. If you want to take Gotham by Gaslight or Gotham by Gotham or whatever is a.
Hey, whoever said it first. Whoever typed it in first.
I feel like TK421 won something before. I know he did. He won. He was won a few weeks ago. So we're gonna go ahead and give it to Chad. Chad. You're gonna win it. There you go, buddy. You win.
Did somebody say Comic Exposure? I feel like one of those like leprechauns that like if you like Beetlejuice.
Say the name
say it 3 times.
Huh?
Hey, what's up, guys? It's me, Comic Exposure here.
Yeah. Right?
No, nice. Yeah.
I did get that little. When is your guys' episode that we did tonight going up?
It's up. It's up, baby.
Wow.
I put in the chat link earlier in your conversation. Yeah.
Nice. There you go.
Excellent job, Matt.
I appreciate it.
I will say that Matt did the. Oh man, I forgot to read that.
Yeah, I did.
For someone who has never read Outcast, he just couldn't know.
Yeah, never read it, and I just completely BS my way through it.
No, it's good.
It's so good. So now that we're not marked by Mr. No Name Actors, what do you guys think of Emily Blunt? The possibility of Emily Blunt being Sue Storm. Do you think her and John Krasinski should play Sue Storm and Mr. Fantastic?
They certainly look the part. I mean, I don't know, man. I don't think it matters. I mean, I think it'd be fine. I mean, I don't know. Yeah. It's hard to speculate because it's like, there's so much speculation and everybody thinks stuff's gonna suck and it ends up being awesome and vice versa. So, I mean, as good a choice as any, I guess. Travis, sorry, I cut you off. Go ahead.
No, I think, I mean, I agree with you on that standpoint. It's like, just tell me who it's going to be, make it work, and then I'll talk shit about it after. No, the only thing with that casting is I don't want like someone who's kind of got like, who's like too posh. Now, I don't think Emily Blunt is too posh, but she's borderline, you know, like a Kate Beckinsale is a little bit posh, something like that. I want a homely Sue Storm.
Homely?
A girl next door. Yeah.
Oh,
I want a portly, bad acne. No, I'm trying to think of who's got that kind of like girl next door grown up look.
Dude, I don't even know.
That's a good question. Who does have that girl next door grown up look?
Maybe like a young Helen Hunt. That's who I want to play. I want a young
That's
Helen
interesting.
Hunt. I'm trying to see who.
Yeah, I don't know. You got me there. Young Helen Hunt.
But you know, the problem is with John Krasinski and Emily Blunt is that they're kind of older. So it'd be kind of weird to do an origin thing. You'd have to kind of start the movie up and running, you know.
Well, isn't Mr. Fantastic an older gentleman? Like, I don't think.
But you couldn't do like.
What are you, an
like
ageist? You got
no, but you couldn't do
here?
like a hey, we built this rocket and let's see if it flies in outer space. You know, like.
Oh, you want like an October Sky, Mr. Fantastic? Like he's in high school and they're building rocket competition.
I think that's exactly what.
No, because we had that and it was horrible. But I'm saying, you know, it'd be weird to have them have their powers already like in their, you know, mid 40s. But I
think you go Spider-Man route with it. I don't need. Do we really need another Fantastic Four origin story?
No, and that's kind of what I was getting at. You know, everybody already
watch him
go
into the space again and get hit by the storm, and you know.
Yeah, it's not even that interesting of an origin story, really. So,
do you think that these producers and these writers and stuff like that? I mean, we're indoctrinated into these kind of stories, so we're like, oh, it's okay. I don't need you to tell me the backstory. Why, if they were in this world, then why weren't they showing up during all these events? I think we're in tune with that. We're like, okay, I'll just, you know, leave that aside. Do you think that these producers are like, well, the majority of the audience is going to want to know where they were during Infinity Wars if they were around? That doesn't bother me. You can put them in and be like, yeah, they've been around with powers for like 20 years, and I'm not going to be like, well, where were they during the end game? I think I'm like, okay, suspension of disbelief. Yeah,
somebody will you know, explain it to me. I need to know exactly why.
It'll be a big thing on Reddit. Somebody will try to figure it out.
My suspension of disbelief is so high, it just like it bleeds into my personal life. Like if someone's like, this relationship's not working out, I think we have to break up. I'm like, I don't believe you.
We have comic book nerds legitimately arguing over whether or not Wolverine is circumcised. So you don't think someone's going to complain about wanting to know where these characters were during Endgame or Infinity War?
Put them in. What's the not the negative zone? What's the zone? What's their
the quantum realm? Are you talking about
zone,
like where Ant-Man goes?
No, where where Sue Storm and what are the Fantastic Four, where they entered to get their powers. They go into space and they enter the Phantom Zone. Is it the Phantom Zone?
It's like Phantom or Negative or something like that, I think.
Yeah, Phantom or Negative Zone. Like just have them be there, show a news clip of them and being like,
it's the Awesome Zone where they get awesome powers. Not to be confused with Austin Powers.
The Awesome Zone sounds like one of those like kid playground places.
Like Discovery Zone when you were a kid. I don't know if you guys had those out here. Discovery Zone. Those were the shit. They were always in like little fucking shopping malls, like outdoor shopping malls.
Yeah, and they have those little plastic balls that are just like covered in hepatitis at this point because they've just been pissed on and stuff.
I don't think I've ever gotten hepatitis from a ball pit.
You guys are talking about the coronavirus. I feel like that would be the cesspool. That's probably where that thing came from, like one of those ball pits.
Just festering in the ball pits.
Stuff. Yeah.
That's pretty gross.
I just think it's funny that people are are turning away from Corona beer because they think it's going to give them the coronavirus. Like that's crazy to me.
I don't know, man. People just continue to surprise me. Like, I know this is nothing new, but I was reading an article on social media.
What do you mean reading is nothing new? You've been doing it this entire podcast.
And well, no, I was actually drawing. Anyway,
yes, ADHD. It helps him focus.
Yeah, I'm hyper focused now. I don't even remember. Oh, okay. So yeah, I was reading this in the headlines. The headline says one thing, and everybody's commenting all angry on the comments. I don't even know why I read comments still. I shouldn't. And it's so painfully obvious that nobody actually clicked on the story and read it, because the headline was just clearly clickbait, and everybody just reacted to that. And there was like 100 and some comments, and like 95% of them were just about the headline. Like, is that how like small-minded people are, that they can't even bother? So if those are the kind of people that are worried about Corona beer giving them coronavirus, that's all.
They need 4 words. Did you ever have any of your teachers when you're growing up do one of those assignments? Teachers are always like, read the directions, then do the assignment. I had a couple of teachers that like, read the directions, and it was this long packet of stuff. And in directions, it says, it's like, like a paragraph of directions. And at the end, it says, do not do any of this packet. Turn to the last page, put your name at the bottom, and turn it. And like 1 out of 25 kids did it. I don't know if it's a direct parallel to what you're saying there, but there is something human about like, oh no, that's it. I know everything I need to know. I don't need to read it. I'm just gonna go into it.
Yeah, pretty much like Cliff Notes people,
Yeah.
I feel like that's how any of us go into putting together IKEA furniture. I don't need these instructions, and I don't need to read anything. I'm just gonna give it a shot, and that's how you end up with like extra pieces and a screw, or like an extra 4 screws that you don't know where they go, and things are all crooked, and that's what I feel like IKEA furniture accounts to.
Pretty much exactly.
But I want to get your thoughts. You two are both two intelligent gentlemen. I want to get your guys' thoughts on James Gunn coming out and saying that there's absolutely no rivalry between Marvel and DC, and that it's all fan generated. Do you think what we were talking about with the reference to the DC universe and the Thor kind of backs that up, or do you think that it's a fan generated beef?
I don't know, man, because I remember sometimes, reading interviews or listening to interviews with some of the editors at the current times, and they drop little digs on each other. I don't know if it was really serious or not, but I don't know, man. I never understood the whole Marvel versus DC rivalry thing. I don't. It's like, why would why if you like comics and you like these great stories, why would you limit yourself? They both have excellent characters, and they both have excellent writers, artists, whatever. I just don't, and I don't get it. I never got it. To me, it seems like the rivalry has more to do with like the movies, like the movie fans. But if you read comics, there's no reason why you would you would shut yourself off to one half of really great comics that are out there.
Well, I feel like that's more of what he was referring to is like moviegoers in the movies himself. And, he's directing a movie for both sides now. Between he's doing Suicide Squad 2, and then he's doing going to come back for Guardians 3, but when he's already done 1 and 2. But I agree with you. I don't see. I think his comments are very genuine and correct. That it's not. I don't see him being in competition with each other. It's fan generated competition, I think.
Yeah, I go for the comics. I think there is some roots of it. If you read like the untold story of Marvel Comics, that nonfiction piece where it goes through like every decade and all the editors, there is a sense that they want their market share to be what's consumed. And then when you have like artists like Kirby work for Marvel, get disillusioned with it, jump over to DC, there's gonna be some hard feelings. You took my best talent, and like, well, no, you let your best talent go. Or like, hey, we're making money off this character. You stole that character, and now you're making more money, and now our character is this. I think now that's the comic book industry, especially with more publishers there, that isn't as strong, and artists. There's less like your home base artists, so they're able to kind of jump freely. And I think that's a product of I think that happened when Liefeld and them broke off, and started their thing, and then they broke off again, and then they're like, who's keeping track anymore, guys? If you want to work for us, here's your rate. What do you want to do? Boom. When it comes to the movies, I think that, again, talking about something that's very human. Jay, I don't know when you were a kid, but we both listened to punk rock. You for Audio Ammunition too, by the way, super well curated. I'll go on there and I'll just like look like I haven't heard of this. This is great.
No, thanks, man.
But I remember as a kid when I got into music, punk rock, you very much had camps, and it was fun, kind of hoisting your flag. You're like, no, I don't listen to that. Even if you recognize that what they were doing was good stuff, it was fun to kind of like die on your sword. But that's also a very 13-year-old mentality. So I think some of the, it's a stage you go through where you plant your flag in something. I only listen to pop punk, or I only listen to East Coast punk, or whatever it is. And you really see that. I deal with teenagers and stuff, and they're very much like that with things in their life. Now, if they don't mature out of that stage, they become middle-aged people who are still planting their flags. And I will only see DC movies. So I think it's kind of like it's fun. It's fun to pick camps too, and because it allows for fun conversations. But some people take it too far, and you're like, oh no, you're not just saying this because it's fun to be on this team. You're like, you actively are saying that what this other person is producing is not good, and that's just not true. Objectively, it's just not true.
That's very true. I mean, I think people like, wearing that badge, like top DC, I used to go to a comic book store here in Phoenix. They used to be up north, like, I want to say like 19th Avenue and Thunderbird-ish area. It was called New York City Comics, and they only carried Marvel. And they despised DC. Like, I don't think they'd even, if I went in there wearing like a DC shirt, I don't even think they'd let me in the store.
What a bad business model.
I know.
Right?
I know. It's like you said, it's fun to do, and it's fun to have, but when people like take it too seriously, and that's just ridiculous. There's no
I know we have comic exposure fans who refuse to listen to Absolute Geek and Couch Crunchers. They say,
I don't blame them.
Fuck those guys. They're like, we are planting. No,
we are planting our flags.
Yeah. It's fun too, and I find the backside of that with any kind of art that is, I do miss those. I do kind of miss those days, because someone will be like, well, what do you like? And like, what music you listen to? And then you have to do that whole like kind of boring, like, well, I listen to everything. Or like, what comics do you read? Like, well, I read a little bit of everything. And I feel like that's not the answer they want. They want you to pick a camp and be like, argue passionately for why this is what you listen to, or this is what you read. And so I do miss the days of when someone asks what you listen to. I go, man, I listen to Mr. T's Experience, and that's it.
It's funny that you said that, because that's like a huge topic between like us and Audio Ammunition. How like it's just one of the questions that we despise. We're like, what kind of music do you listen to? You're like, oh crap, because you can't. Yeah. It's so hard to when you listen to a lot of things. Like, well, where do you start? Oh well, you could start at, Eddie Cochran, Elvis Presley, Little Richard, and you can move into British Invasion. They can move in 80s or glam. New wave, you go into the punk rock, then you go into whatever, and it's like by then, if the person you're talking to is going, yeah, it's like, sorry, you asked.
Spinning off this, do you guys still have that intrepidation when someone says, "Oh, like what's your podcast on?" And I don't mind saying comics. You know, I love comics, and I think the best writers in the world are working on comics these days, and the best artists. But I look at them, I know a little bit about them, I know where they're coming from, and then I'm like, oh, I don't want to answer this question. Because
I get that. I do that all the time. The answer that I'm gonna give,
I know when I say comics, I can see your head working, and I don't want to have to. I go. I'm trying to take a piss break between classes. I don't have the time to validate my taste. Do you guys find that? Like, I feel ashamed because I should just be like, comics. Or what are you reading right now? Comics. What's your podcast on? Comics. Hey, what's that shirt reference? Comics. But I'm always like, ugh.
Yeah, always. Yep. You feel like you should be proud of it, and then you're like, oh, so you do a podcast? Like, yeah, actually, that's cool. It's cool. What's it about? And that's the dagger right there. The what's it about? And, you're like, I wish I could say something cool, like, crime, or true crimes, or
something really niche-y.
Yeah, anything like that, or like all the worst people I fucked in my life, or something like that. But then you're like, comic books, and they're like, oh, you can just see the judgment on their face before it even hits.
I've tried different ways. I've done like, well, I always start off with comics. I'll be like, well, it's like a literary discussion, or it's like a book club, and then I'll try to put three things in front of it, and then I'll be like, but it's on comics.
Yeah.
And then they're always like comedy, and I'm like, no.
Yeah.
Like comic books. And then they'll do it this. Oh, like Batman and Superman. You're like, yes, those are two comic book characters.
Yes,
but it's not really.
I do a podcast on comics. On comics.
Encapsulate what I do.
This whole episode is going to be about how Louis C.K. won't let you out of the room until you watch him jerk off. That's what my podcast is about. I do it on different comics. Next week's Dane Cook. Join in.
It's an escape room where you see how long you can last with Louis C.K. in the room. Right. I'm out. I can't do it anymore.
Yeah. You lock eyes with them, and you can't break eye contact until he finishes. Yeah. And the last one in the room wins. That should be a game show hosted by Ellen. Right there.
I literally do this podcast, and I have all my comics in a pantry, covered. I'm like a closeted comic fan. I think we need to have like comic pride parades. Everyone dresses up. I guess that's what a convention is, though. Really, isn't it? Isn't it nothing more than a comic pride parade?
I think we need to go back to what we were talking about, comic book exposure, and you got to quit being a comic fan, and you got to come out and wear it with pride. That's we're gonna come down here. I mean, you gotta rock your fandom for comics, just like the way you're rocking that sweet Roadhouse shirt.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it's tough though being single. If I was married, I'd rock it a little bit more. But some people still have that. You're like, and I'm like, no, this is only one facet of me. I've got many facets.
Yeah.
I'll take my pants off.
Yeah, that's why you don't tell them. You don't know. You don't tell them. The one thing you never tell them they have a podcast either. That goes south because they want to listen to it, and it's like, all right.
Oh, especially if you're an Absolute Geek Podcast.
Yeah. I like how all the shots are at us. Like everyone's taking a shot at us. I get on Comic Exposure, and the first thing I hear is, well, Lance from Couch Crunchers was on last week, and they're our sister podcast. So you guys are like our creepy touchy uncle podcast. I'm like, what is this? Why can't we be like the daddy podcast? We got to be the creepy touchy uncle podcast.
Honestly,
it's all because of Kyle.
On a bus, though, who would you rather sit next to? Just some boring sister, or like some guy who's got some stories?
I don't want to be sitting next to a creepy touchy uncle. Like, that's no, and nowhere in any circumstances do I want to sit next to someone's creepy touchy uncle. That analogy does not work here.
Why do you smell like cigarettes?
Yeah. Why do you smell like sweetness, little boy? Yeah, no. His name is Dalton. What are you talking about, Tim?
Roadhouse.
We have some people in the chat that are a little skeptical of you, Travis, because your YouTube icon does not have a picture on it.
Oh yeah, I should correct that.
Someone says they feel like it would be an awesome picture. If you would choose something awesome.
Yeah. Well, I'll have to get on that.
But
homework. Let me make a note.
Yeah, there you go. You give it enough to your students, you finally give some to yourself.
Yeah, that's what I don't want. I don't want the icon. Then if kids are surfing the web, then they come across it and like, what's this?
Well, okay, so you're a classic comic fan. How do you consume your comics? So do you? I know you were making fun of it on the show. Do you normally do it digitally, or do you have a local comic shop there?
I made the because we don't have a local comic shop, so I made the transition into digital about a year ago because we were really on Comic Exposure. We were really slacking on giving us like, oh, these are the books we want to read. So I didn't have time to like order them online and get here in the mail. It takes a little bit longer to get it, a couple weeks to get something. So then it was like, oh, I'll just get that digitally. And I quickly got used to it. So it's nice. I'm able to consume it a lot quicker. But man, I love my preferences in my hand. You guys are talking about being a Wednesday warrior. I haven't been a Wednesday warrior since my mid-20s.
Yeah, it's so they don't have any Roadhouse. His name is Dylan Travis knows. Yeah, we got it. You don't have any comic shops near you?
They might have some in Tokyo. I mean, there's all kinds of manga shops. I mean, if you see like comic shop in Japan,
yeah,
like I'm like, oh my god, it's comics, and you go in there, it's just the manga volumes. So there's nothing local around me. On the military base here, they don't carry like even the top titles on here, so it's I just have them shipped out and stuff like that. So
yeah, because I know Gregory, he's a comic creator that's been on the show a couple times. He lives in Japan too, and he's in Tokyo though, I think. So he talks about going to the comic book shop all the time. So I was just wondering like how they
excellent, yeah,
how they get their stuff, if it's like a day after us or if it's before us or what.
That's good. Next time I'm like a 45-minute train ride from like central Tokyo. So next time I go there, that's one of the things I want to do is I'm just gonna like Google map a comic shop and see what's in there and just check it out.
It's just hentai everywhere.
I'll report back to you guys.
Tentacle porn everywhere.
Check out my cool hentai shirt.
Yeah,
guys.
Check out this cool tentacle porn shirt.
I am planting my flag on the mountain of hentai.
There you go. You got to keep that flag firmly planted in the ground. Don't let anyone forget it.
Yeah.
The other thing too is how do you feel about Robert Pattinson playing Batman?
I'm good. I'm good with that.
You're good with
I'm
that?
actually kind of I'm excited to see what he can do. The guy's got chops. The guy's got acting chops. Now I don't think some people might not be thrilled with some of the roles he's played and kind of his previous, his entree into film was, I mean, it's hard to. He's got that Shadow, Twilight, and some of those other things like Water for Elephants, kind of stuck on him. But he's done some good stuff, man.
Twilight.
Yeah, he can brood. He's a good brooder.
I mean, he's come in his own as of late with more of the independent scene. But he.
What are your thoughts? You're a supporter of this, right?
Yeah, I am. I think he's gonna do. I think he's gonna do fantastic. But I mean, it's come out that he's having problems putting on weight, and then they just started shooting it. So. I mean, there's a lot of, I think, unnecessary worry at this point, and I feel like it's like the Ben Affleck situation all over again. That worry, and I'll admit I wasn't on board with Ben Affleck until I actually saw him in the bat suit, but it's. I was watching Jersey Girl the other night, off story, but I was watching the Kevin Smith Jersey Girl movie, and he talked about driving the Batmobile, and I was like, man, Kevin Smith made that connection that long ago that he's going to play Batman one day. But I digress. But so he made comments a few months ago about how Batman isn't a superhero, and it's like these comments are haunting him, and he doesn't understand why comic book fans are pissed off by those comments or why they're so heated by those comments.
Oh, okay. So
is there any fathom where you could see that you could support the Batman is not a superhero comments?
Yeah, so I mean, we're both. You're a big fan of Long Halloween, that run, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I like to think of I like Detective Batman more than Punchy Punch Batman. When you're seeing his process when he's hunting down clues and things like that. I like a good 5-page Batman dialogue with like Commissioner Gordon. I like that. I like the other stuff too, but that's kind of what I like. So I could see maybe I don't know. Was there more to the quote, and they just took? He says Batman's not a superhero.
That's pretty much what he said. He said that the Batman is not a superhero because he doesn't have powers.
Oh, okay, all right. Oh, that's because he's looking at the powers thing. No, Batman's a superhero. That is one of his titles for sure. Batman's a superhero. He's a detective.
Let me see if I can pull up his actual quote.
Yeah, it's not a superhero. Like, you have extraordinary abilities that you use for good, right? Now, these aren't like supernatural or magic abilities, but they certainly are extraordinary. He has trained himself and equipped himself in a way that makes him extraordinary, and he uses his powers for good. Therefore, he is a superhero. He's not a normal hero. He has elevated himself through training and through gadgets and through deduction to be a superhero.
Well, I think his whole thing is like the power aspect, and he caught a lot of backlash for it, and he still, like you said, doesn't understand why Batman isn't, why fans were so mad, and he couldn't understand why he was getting all that backlash and stuff. So part of me wonders if he's not, and I think he even kind of admitted it, if he's not educated on the role, or he's not educated on the backstory of Batman. So it's like he kind of just took this role because it was offered to him, and he's not as educated on the character as he should be.
Could that be an asset though? Because I don't know how. I don't think Joaquin Phoenix was necessarily that educated on the Joker when he took it, and I'm sure the sense of, I think if you approach a role like Batman, someone gave me the role as Batman, and I had to prepare for it, and I have all these different incarnations of Batman in my head, it might be tough for an actor to zone in on exactly what this script requires Batman to be. And I would rather him service that particular script than to try to service all the lore of Batman. Because I think when you try to service everything that is Batman and then make that work within this particular story, it might water down the emotional beats and what that character needs to do in that story. But if he looked at, I say read all of Batman or none of Batman. Yeah. But if you're just looking at the script, he's like, he seems like the actor type where he like really tries to study the nuances of the script and what the conflict is here and how do I move from here. And if he's thinking about, okay, this part of the script, this is how I'm reacting, but that's not really how Jim Lee's, Hush Batman would react, because in that series, he would have done this. So I think there could be an asset to him just looking at the script and looking at who that character is. And if the script is a good script, it's going to come across as Batman, whether the actor knows it or not.
I mean, I would almost be okay with if they went a different route with the Batman script versus what they did with, like, kind of like what they did with Joker and Joaquin Phoenix. Gave you something different,
I'd prefer it too. Yeah, I agree.
I think that's what excites me most about this, the potential of this movie is seeing the detective side of it and seeing a different side of the Batman than we're used to seeing. I would love to see him more solving crimes, and you see more of that type of work than, like you said, the punch him up, fight him up stuff. So
I haven't read any of the recent Batmans. Are they doing any of the things where, sometimes before movies where they slowly start to draw in one of the titles Batman to look a little bit more like the actor who's going to play him and a little bit more like the actor who's going to play him? Or have they stayed away from that?
No, they haven't started. Yeah, so far they have not. They haven't done that. And I mean, even when Ben Affleck was playing Batman, they still kind of kept that away. Like, they never changed his look to be more Ben Affleck-y because, I mean,
it's too iconic.
They already kind of did that with the Dark. He was meant to be the Dark Knight Returns Bruce Wayne and Batman, and that's kind of what you got with how big and bulky he was already.
Do you ever think, guys? I know, Jay, you used to do Wednesdays, right? You still there. Has anyone, like these major comic book figures, would they benefit from 5 years off in a comic book form. The movies are one thing, but like if there wasn't a Batman story told in comics for like 5 years, if they're just like, you know what, we're removing him from the deck, or we're removing Wonder Woman from the deck, right? We're going to give it to a team and they can kind of like look at this. You think that absence would do anything? A couple of weeks ago, Matt, we were talking Absolute Geek. What does the comic book industry need? Is it in trouble? What is it? What are some things that it needs to do? Would that come across as a gimmick? Do you think there would be any benefit in removing a character for a while?
Well, I'll let Jay go ahead and tackle this question first, since he's a guest. Go ahead if you want.
So you mean like just not even have him anywhere at all?
Yeah,
or just not have his own title?
Remove him, take him. I mean, it doesn't have to. I mean, you can make it like an event where he's removed or whatever it is, but just you can't use this character. He's no longer one of the toys you can play with. DC.
Well, I think before I let Jason, I think the best measuring stick about that is going to be kind of Wolverine coming up, because he was taken away. He was away for a year or two, and then they brought him back. But now he's about to relaunch his own title here in a couple of weeks, so that'll be interesting to see how that affects his direct title.
It could work either way. I mean, sometimes, sometimes with the absence of a character, people tend to miss him more. People tend to build up his lore more. And then when he's finally teasing to come back, everybody's really into it. Or you can be like, like they did with Professor X, where he dies and he's gone for years and years, and then people realize, we don't even really need it. We didn't even really need him anyway. And then the stories just kind of work themselves around him and then past him. But is there a character that I think, right now,
is there a character that maybe needs to be pulled out to just kind of like we need a breather?
Well, I think if you pull him, it would be fantastic for him. Any character right now, like look at DC. He's got goddamn Jay. How many books are Batman in?
At least 2 or 3 a week.
Well, I'm not just talking about like regular
Batman.
So you've got Batman Beyond. You've got Detective. You've got his standalone Batman title. You've got the Justice Leagues. You've got all Red Hood. You've got all these different books that he appears in. You gotta think that removing the character, taking him off the spectrum, or even just down to a standalone book would be better, because it would give people time to create stuff for him.
I would be all about bringing all those books to just one book,
absolutely,
a month, or even like just one Batman, one Detective a month, because that's the way it used to be. And you do need a bit of a breather, because you flood the market with stuff like that, and 80% of it's just garbage. It's just rushed through just to feed the Batman hunger, that people think the public has. Same thing with Superman. But I don't know, tell you the truth, and people might be really angry, but I think a character that would benefit from an absence is Wonder Woman. And
they're doing the opposite. She's about to get a huge push, because they just announced that DC Metal 2 is going to be focused on Wonder Woman. So Scott Snyder and Capullo are teaming up to do a Wonder Woman book in the DC Metal universe. So
that might sound interesting, but some of these characters that they put on such a pedestal that it almost seems like they don't want to let the writers do anything too interesting, because it'll tarnish the name, or it'll, someone even like Superman or Wonder Woman right now, especially Wonder Woman. Gosh, I mean, I was telling Matt, there's certain titles I'll never leave, and Wonder Woman's one of them. But oh boy, it's almost like, don't do anything too weird, because you don't want to mess anything, or you don't want to deter any of the new the new readers are going to jump on with the movie or whatever, and hence the stories end up being really boring.
Yeah.
I
think I like the idea of having that one. So I think if whether we want to absence or not, I think distilling Batman down or some of these characters have multiple titles into one book is so important, because as a reader, we do this on the podcast, we sit down with something, we consume it, and then we have time to digest it. And that's really when you're dealing with, like, I'm going to keep going back to music because I got Jay on here. But if a band came out with an album every year, it kind of, you're like, well, I didn't get to live and love and discuss the last one before you hit me with this new thing with new themes and new ideas and new sounds. I go, I want to love it. I want to love a book to death and not have it watered down with, like, I want to love one Batman title or hate it passionately. But I feel like, oh, this Batman here. Like, okay, what about this Batman here? No. I wanted to the one Batman storyline that we can all discuss as a geek culture for a year. Love it or hate it, but live with it. I just want to live with one iteration of a character for a little while. Wolverine was so spread out for so long.
I think that'd be super interesting, honestly. If there was just one story, that's it that we could all talk about, and it would be interesting to see how that happens. But I mean, that's the problem with the comic book industry today, and you see it, and I think you even see it with newer books. Like, you have how many times on Spinner Rack do we like a first issue of a book, and the second issue comes out and we're like, oh god, it's like they get that first issue and it's a hit because it's their passion project. They've taken the time, they've put love into this issue, and then it becomes, well, that book sold out at Diamond. We need to refill it. We need to restock it. We need to get issue 2 out. And then it just gets rushed, and it's not as good. The quality isn't there. What you fell in love with that book is now gone.
What I find we used to do at Comic Exposure, we used to have, I'm just a pro, just putting it in there. We used to do creator interviews with a lot of, like, from Caliber Comics, like these independent comic places. And so they sent them to us and we read them, and some of them weren't so good. And some of them were good, but some of them weren't. And
you're talking about the interviews themselves?
No, the books.
Reader copies of the book. Yeah,
you're talking about those first issues being that. As a creator, I think you have to be in love with your character more than your premise. And I think that some of these indie first off, or these creators who get that first shot, maybe at Image or, some of these Dynamite or stuff like that, that first issue is great because it's so premise heavy. Like, the premise is carrying them. But as a creator, if you're not in love with your characters, then it's a cool. There's so many indie comics have these amazing premises, and they hook you in that first issue with, like, oh my god, it's like Hunger Games but on this planet, and it's like all these. It's a mash of pitch ideas, and so you're like, okay, I'm in the world. But then the next issue, you're like, okay, but what about the characters? No, I get the premise, and then you get to the 5th issue, and you're like, it's just a premise. You're just giving me a cool premise. And some characters, I think you build your series, you build your world around the conflicts of your main character. We were talking about that today on Outcast, and I think that's something that Kirkman did really well with that main character in there. It's this possession story, but you could tell Kirkman knows that character back and front, and is discovering, he's putting that character into a character he loves into tough situations, and then he has to write himself out, and that character gets wounded and scarred through that. And I think those first issues that you were talking about that just drop off, I think some of that is just a guy who's just, or gal who had a cool premise, but then couldn't figure out the vehicle in which to tell that through the character.
That's interesting. I think when you said that, one recent book comes to mind is that Undiscovered Country. It's like, that seems like something that they like, what would happen? Wouldn't it be cool if we had this world? And then, and then the whole book is built on this really cool premise. And then the characters themselves, I'm like, I can't even keep them all straight. They're so generic, and they're so, they don't stand out to me at all. So all you got is this really cool structure with really nothing inside. you
Yeah.
know?
I think it should always start off with, I guess it just depends on a writer's approach, but the seed should always be a girl or guy struggling with or against, boom. And we're going to take that and we're going to put it in this world, boom, or in this premise, or with these constraints, whether it be like in this world, there are, no dicks or whatever it is, whatever weird, wacky thing they want to do with it. But I think that core seed should be guy or gal or dog or whatever it is struggles with or struggles against this, and then put it into a weird, wacky vehicle or a dark vehicle or whatever. Choose the genre.
Yeah. Oh.
I just think we won't ever see it happen because that's going to hit their bottom line and their profits so much to reduce one of their most famous characters down to nothing. But like I said, Wolverine's going to be the measuring stick, because if he comes out hot and his book is solid, I'm already hyped for it because they're bringing back Omega Red. Like, they're bringing back villains.
Oh, cool.
Oh, I love that idea.
You haven't seen or heard of from in years, and you're seeing a different. They set it up where you're seeing a different side of Wolverine, because now you're seeing how he is in Krakoa and how he's not as enraged, and now you're getting a different Wolverine meeting all these old enemies and kind of forcing him back into his angrier, more violent past. And so it'll be interesting to see how that does. And I think that's going to be the perfect measuring stick, because they took Wolverine out of the game, not completely because they gave you Old Man Logan, but they took your...
It's not the same at all.
Right, it's not the same. But part of me kind of wonders too, like, you got all these new people coming into comics every day, like trying to get into comics every day. When does it get confusing? When you have like 5 or 6 different Batman titles, or he's in Justice League and he's in all this stuff, and even like the X-Men. The X-Men's a perfect example. We talked about this. You have all these different X books, and I was telling Travis when we were on Comic Exposure tonight, I'd love to hear him and Josh go back and revisit what their thoughts of the stuff after House of Powers of X, because and he asked me, can we, all the books, can you just read them? No, you got to kind of read every single issue you
can't just read the main X-Men title so much,
right? Because it's that overarching story, because something happens in the main X-Men issue, and then it carries over to the other books and then concludes, and then the next issue of X-Men, they're on to something else. So it's like, you got to kind of read them because they fit together. So it's so like, I don't know, convoluted, and there's so much in it right now that it's hard for a new fan to just jump in and be like, I want to get into it. I want to read this book, and here we go. There's so much you got to read to keep in these stories, and like everything's tying in with each other, and it's I just think as
devil's advocate on that, I will say that when I got into comics, it took a while. X-Men in the 90s was my jam, as it was for many, many, many people in our kind of age range. And the convoluted storylines, putting the work into figuring those out, buying the titles, making the connections, was part of the enjoyment of it, the puzzle. Now that I'm older, I just want good stories, but continuity and piecing together a universe was one of the reasons that endeared me to comics. That side of me is gone, so I just want a good story. But I'm sure there are people that one of the reasons that they enjoy comics is that the work they put in. Unfortunately, that leaves a lot of people in the dark. Getting in that first step just becomes so much harder. Like, I don't really watch professional sports, and part of it is because I'm like, it's just so intimidating trying to figure out. I'm like, oh my gosh, so much to keep up with, stats, players, all this stuff, but some people who love sports, that's one of the reasons they love it, is because it is work. It is a passion project. I don't want a passion project at this point. That's what the podcast is for. I want to read good stories.
You know what it comes down to, right? You know why, in my personal belief, why it is that we're no longer into, because I'm the same way. When I was a kid, I loved those overarching stories, and now I can't stand them. Money.
Yeah.
Comes down to money. Yeah. You're not spending your parents' money anymore. You're spending your money. So now
And
it's
space,
like,
space,
you're
keeping it all.
And so you're like, man, I don't really know if I want to buy these 16 issues. Like we'll use the most recent Carnage event for a good example. Like there was like 20 or 30 different tie-in books, and you're like, man, I gotta have all these tie-ins. But then you're sitting there and you're like, it's your money in your pocket. You're like, damn, like, do I really need this book, or do I really need this tie-in, or am I gonna really, you start picking shit. My dad makes fun of me for that all the time, still to this day. He always makes a comment, oh, sure, when you're spending my money, you got no problem making a choice and choosing what you want. But when it comes to, or he'll use it to like soda or something. He's like, oh, yeah, when you're spending my money, you have no problem getting Coke, Pepsi, or Dr. Pepper. But, when it's your money, it's Dr. Thunder or RC Cola. It's like, all right. And that's how it is with comics. Like, it's like, when I was spending my parents' money, I didn't care. I had to have it, and you couldn't tell me otherwise. And now that it's my money, it's like, ooh, do I really need it? Do I, how much? Right. I think that's what that's what it accumulates to, is now you're spending your own money, and you're like, how much of that do I really need? And then, the price of comics comes up into it too. Like, I can understand when they were $2.99. Like when DC did Rebirth and they reset, it was $2.99. That lasted what, like 6 months to a year, if that, and then that's $3.99. And now they offer you two different covers, one on shitty paper for $3.99, and then one on thicker paper for $4.99.
And they're way cooler looking too.
And everything Marvel puts out now is cover price is $4.99 or just about. And so if Marvel releases any new number one, it's guaranteed to be a $4.99. They have the audacity to charge $10.99 or $9.99 for some books. And like the what was that, the Marvel storyline that came out a couple weeks ago that was thick? It was like a $10 book that Corbin was complaining about that nothing happened in it.
Oh gosh, I don't even remember what it's called.
Regardless, but so they're charging all this money and you're paying it, and then you get home and you're like, this book fucking sucks, and you're like, I wish I could get my money back. Like, I'm disappointed that I even spent. Like, I made the comment a few weeks ago, I'm going to start flipping through books and really looking at it when I go to the comic shop, because I'm sick and tired of buying books off the rack and they're just hot garbage. Like, you read them and you're like, why did I even waste my money on this?
Yeah.
But the crossovers and all the tie-ins, they are getting way more ridiculous. I remember, Travis talking about X-Men in the 90s, I remember like Fatal Attractions. I got on right when that started, and then like Age of Apocalypse and like Phalanx Covenant. But those, it was just the X-Men titles, and the flagship books were the arc. Those all,
there are 3 books.
You didn't have Uncanny, X-Factor, and all that stuff going on, plus more stacked up on top of each other, like Age of Apocalypse.
You didn't have to read Generation X to get the story arcs.
They were all pretty much self-contained, and then that was the big event, is when they crossed over, had a character crossover,
right? And that only happened like once every couple of
4 years.
Now it's like every couple of months, it seems.
Because I think Age of Apocalypse was probably the epics of this is what the X-Men are. Then they tried to do it with what was Onslaught was next, or was it no, it was like the Bastion one. There was a Super Sentinel one, and then it was Onslaught. And after Onslaught, I was like, I think I was at that point, I was probably like 16 or something like that, and I'm like, I don't want to spend my money. As Matt was saying, now my money has more value to me. And I don't want to spend it on this. I have limited resources. But I think there are people in the comic book world, and this isn't a dig on them, even these sound like negative terms, that are still like elitists and completists, where they want to have everything. That if there's 8 X-Men titles, they got to have them all. And also there's a sense too that they're like, you know what? I put a lot of hard work. This is something that I love, and there are people in a tribe that likes this stuff. So if you can't put the work in to do this, then we don't, then comics aren't your thing. But fortunately enough, there are those types of comics, and then there are other types of comics. So there's a little bit of room for everyone. But sometimes I feel like, oh, it'd be great to jump back into Wonder Woman. But I'm like, ugh. It's a lot of work.
How
It'd be
much?
great to jump back into X-Men.
In your
It's a
opinion,
lot of
though,
money.
too, how much of it is the lack of originality?
Right.
Do you ever feel it? You ever read a book and you feel like I did it last week with Batman, James Tinian's Batman. You read a book and you're like, I've read this before. I've seen this before.
Yeah.
You know,
paint by numbers.
Yeah, there's no originality in this stuff. And I understand, like, being in 2020, it's hard for originality. It's hard to come up with an original idea now that someone else hasn't come up with already. But it just feels like it's just rehash of the same stuff. And you know, like the most original, I think the closest thing, and I might be wrong, that you're gonna get to originality right now is what Hickman did with the X-Men, moving them to Krakoa and removing them from society and all that. But even now, like, it's to the point where, okay, that was all good, but where are you going with this? Like, where are we going with this? Like, we're on what, like issue 6 and 7 of all these books, and it's kind of like we still don't really know where they're going with this. We've had some cool stuff happen, but like you're still not. You still kind of feel like you've got no direction on anything.
I think that going off of that, one of the reasons, you know, that cookie cutter paint by numbers thing is because it is comfort food. Like people who like Clive Cussler novels. I mean, they're the same novels. There's millions of them. You know, it's just like, I know what I'm going to get. It's comforting. It's part of your life routine is to get these types of stories. And so there is that. I mean, you're not getting, you know, Harlan Cobain stories are going to be, they're all kind of the same story. We've been reading these characters for a long time, guys. We've been reading, it's like, you know, it's tough. I want original stuff, but then I also feel like it's tough to demand as a fan. Like, I want new Spider-Man stories, do something different. They're like, well, you've been reading him for 30 years. It's tough to find something that you haven't read in 30 years that we haven't already done. I'm like, you do it, Marvel. I don't want to hear excuses.
Well, but then you get people that do that, and then you got, and I mean no disrespect, but you know, you got people like Corbin that are like, that's not my Batman. Sorry.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
You get people that try to do something different or original, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But personally, I applaud anything that anyone that tries to take some, you know, IP somewhere new, different, whether it's good or bad, I at least give them the effort, you know. But so there's a lot of people that are like, no, I'm out. You know?
They just have to do it with sincerity. As long as there's sincerity in what your vision is, that's good. If you're just trying to make, you know, Bruce Wayne gay because we ran out of ideas, then I'm like, oh, but you know, if it's something where you're like, I have a vision, I don't know if it's going to work, but I will give it 100%. I've worked this out. Give me the ball.
Well, I agree. I think what Jay was saying, I think a lot of that is the fandom too, because like, look, I personally think one of the best things out right now is J.J. Abrams and his kid's Spider-Man story. Like, that's a different take on Spider-Man that we haven't seen
Very
before.
different. Yeah.
That is a very dark, and I think the universe itself is almost as interesting as the characters or the story. Like, the universe they're building is I would love to. I've said it. I want to see more done in this universe. I'd love to see more played out in this sandbox. But people are, that's not my Spider-Man. Right? It got written off from the get-go. And the other thing that hurts them is that it keeps getting delayed. And like the next 2 issues have been delayed again. And it's just like,
crap.
Like to me, it's so good because it's original ideas and it's a fresh take on the character. But it just, people aren't giving it a chance. And I think creative team too has a lot to do with it. Like, I would love to see fresh, new creative teams come in and take over books. And you got to quit giving. If we're going to advance, you got to quit giving them to. I understand Chris Claremont's a great writer. I understand George Perez. You know, all these old school guys. But it's time to move on, and you got to kind of bring in fresh blood and don't be scared. And that's kind of why I applaud Marvel with their X-Men stuff right now, because they're doing that. They're giving those new young artists chance to come in and work on books. But you got to give writers like Sidney Grace came out and he took a concept with Iceman being gay and built him up and ran with it and gave him a backstory to it. So, you know, you got to get that fresh blood in there. And
Even Scott Snyder, when he was a short story writer who wrote a short story about superheroes that was like superhero-esque, and then he's this huge, great addition into the comic book world, you know, as a writer. There's a lot of young kids writing in college right now, and they've got some really cool ideas.
But then you get you catch 22 is you get guys like Brian Michael Bendis, who was a fantastic writer for Marvel. He could do no wrong at Marvel. But he's to jump to DC, and now his stuff sucks. Like his Superman stuff is terrible. You know, I
don't mind it too much.
He's not. It's not the same. Like, this is a guy who gave you Miles Morales, one of the most popular comic book heroes. This is a guy that killed Peter Parker in front of his Aunt May. You know, like in front of the city. Like he got down dirty and killed in front of his community. Like he took chances. Like he gave us, you know, Ultimate Spider-Man. He gave us all new X-Men. He gave us some pivotal stuff, and then he goes over to DC, and his stuff isn't good anymore. It's mediocre at best.
And I'm okay. We tend to forget that we tend to separate the human from the writer, right? In the sense that if we look at our own careers, there's always a period in our career where we're just hot. We just can't miss, no matter what we're doing. You're just like 5 year.
I'm still waiting on that period.
People get.
I'm still waiting for that one to come.
It's coming around. It's coming around the corner. You just can't miss. Now, some writers or some directors or some whatever it is are able to sustain that, and that's a rarity. I think that as creators, you're lucky enough to be blessed with even that hot run, even that like I am just in a creative groove these 5 years, and let me just go. And it has to do a lot of things that are happening in their personal life. It has to do with things like health can affect all that stuff. And so the longevity, not of a writer, but of a writer's creative, you know, peak. And Brian Michael Bendis is an example of that. I think he's a talented writer, but it's probably just by comparison that it seems like it's not as strong. You're like, some of it's like, he could tell a decent Superman story, but it's not as good as the stuff that he was doing over here. And but again, as people who are paying money to see this stuff, you want their best. You're like, give me your best. Yeah,
he did lay some eggs at Marvel, though. I mean, Civil War II was kind of stunk up the room.
Well, that's the other thing I was going to say is that comics have become nothing but event stories now. So, you know, it's like, oh, our sales are down. Let's have a Civil War II. You didn't need a Civil War II. Civil War I was already a masterpiece. You don't need to.
Yeah.
Civil War I gave us the reveal of Peter Parker. It gave us the death of Captain America. Like, Civil War I already contributed so much to the history of comics. You don't need a second one, because the second one, what did it contribute? What did it add? If you're gonna do a sequel to something, or you know, you wanted to add something to the original, and it didn't. And
the only thing that really came out of Civil War II that I can think of off the top of my head was Tony Stark dying, but that sent that into a downward spiral that the Iron Man books still haven't recovered from.
Well, and the Marvel did that event where they erased the Ultimate Universe, and they had like all these different, the different universes were different areas in a map, and that lasted all of 6 months before they rebooted again.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, you reboot with we're only gonna have X amount of titles, and then those grow substantially more. It's just like they never follow through with what they say they're gonna do. So I don't know. As a comic book fan, I like to bitch.
Yeah. Maybe it's just, I mean, the fact that, you know, all these the big two, you know, they're owned by corporations, and you know, you can see where the sales are high. Well, sales are highest here when we start a new event, you know, or sales are highest when, you know, we come out with number ones, you know, so let's reboot, and you know, it's just, there's such corporate moves.
Corporations that produce art are tough because it's like the old patron system. We're the patrons, like
Yeah.
when Shakespeare wanted to write, it's because he was the patron of, people and these writers, Byron and stuff like that. People, and so they wrote stuff that they know their patrons were gonna like, right? They wrote Henry V. Why? Because he's related to you, King. And so when the corporation looks at it, they have to kind of group all these fans together, look at what they're buying, and then be like, give them more of that, I guess, But then at least sometimes they'll be like, hey, do your passion project, because it's still gonna be good for our bottom line's taken care of. Do your passion project. Maybe it will become the new bottom line if it takes off.
That's like what Image does.
Yeah, they're great. Throw a lot at the wall, and then we only need one. We only need one every 2 years. Every 2 years.
That's what we were talking tonight on Comic Exposure. You were asked me, you brought up the thing about, do you want a long ongoing series, or do you want like 6-issue miniseries? And I think that's what
interesting
Image does, I think, fantastically, is it gives you 6-issue miniseries, and if it's a hot seller, you get a second volume. You get more. And if it's not, that's all you get is that 6. Sometimes your story only needs 6 issues.
Yeah.
Like Mark Millar does a lot of stuff in 6 issues. That's fantastic.
Tokyo Ghost was a good one that I really liked.
You
didn't like Tokyo Ghost? Oh,
I
gosh.
hated that book.
I love Sean Murphy, and I like that book a lot.
I hated that book.
That's it. All right, bye guys.
That book was terrible. But, I'm sure there's a lot of books I like that you think are bad. So,
all of them, Matt. All of them. Say a book. I'm going to disagree with it on principle.
Shut up. But I don't know. We've talked about this quite a bit. I think we beat it to a dead horse, but it's interesting getting everyone's opinion on kind of the fandom and what's become of it. So my
opinion changes so much on that too.
Yeah.
Like it depends on what kind of mood I'm in, if I'm optimistic or pessimistic at the time.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad I'm not the only one that thinks like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm the same way though. Like it goes up and down, back and forth. It's all over the place. And the way I feel about something today, we do it all the time especially in the podcasting game. We do it all the time with our speculation. So we're like, I hate this person as this person. That's a terrible casting. And then the movie comes out and you're like, opinion changed.
Yeah.
It's like, let's back that up. So it just, I don't know. People get so mad about that shit, and then it's like it comes out and their opinion completely changes. So I don't know.
Yeah.
It's such a weird fandom to be a part of, and there's so many layers to it. It's just, I don't know.
Yeah, I always the comic industry is always the base of like my nerd dumb, and I think right now I'm happy with it, man. Yeah. I'm never short of good comics to read. Right. And that's the beauty of it. It's just like I'm never, even if I have to go back, even if I have to go back in time, I'm always discovering something like, this is good. Like Outcast there. It's been out since 2014. I just read it this week. I'm like, this Outcast is now there for me. If I want to go read the 8 volumes, I can read the 8 volumes.
Yeah.
If I choose not to, but I go, there's good stuff out there.
Right.
Yeah.
And of course, you've always got those classics. You go back to V for Vendetta, Watchmen, Killing Joke.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's always
Tokyo Ghost.
No. There's those masterpieces you could fall back on that, it'll never, no one could ever write that again. So
yeah, but like Travis was saying, but they're always, especially even if you go back like 10 years, there always seems to be the thing that you missed.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh yeah, that flew under my radar. I should go back and that did get a lot of good critical review. Maybe I should check that out or whatever. There's always something to read.
And it ages better than other forms of storytelling. So last Couch Crunchers last week, I was talking about, I've gone back and started rewatching Mad About You. I rewatched the first season of Mad About You. And I'm like, the story's good, but there's so many things that like date it and things like that. Comics, there's less of that. There's less, because it's art is a style. Dialogue is dialogue, no matter what time it is. Now there's some pop culture references in there. But it's great. You can go. There is the ages, the ages dated like golden age, silver age. You start to see things like that. But really, from like the 1980s to today, you can go back and find something that's just as timely as if it was a new book.
Well, how much is that is your maturing of your palate though? Because like when you're a kid, when Mad About You was on in the 90s, you were probably weren't even.
It was in the background. Yet. Yeah, it was in the background. Yeah,
it was in the background, and you remember it as being on like mom and dad watching it as you were walking through the living room or something, or playing with your figures and whatever. And now you go back and watch it, and you're understanding it, and you're watching it through the eyes of an adult, and you get the references, and you get the more mature, complexity to it. And same with some of these books, like. You go back and it was like at the time you were 6 and didn't care. Like all you wanted to see was Spider-Man fight Venom. Like you didn't care about the deep down like political or social issues that the book was tackling. And now that you're older and you can appreciate that, it's like you're seeing it, like you said, you're seeing it through completely new eyes.
Right. Yeah. No, absolutely. A great example of that one is one I absolutely love. I revisited about 10 years ago was Northern Exposure. That's a good show.
Yeah.
Northern Exposure was a good show.
Yeah. So like V for Vendetta, I didn't care about that book for the longest time, and then as I got older, went back and reread it. Even Watchmen, like I feel like I didn't appreciate that movie until I was older, or that book until I was older. So it's just, I think it's all in where you are at that time and age when that comes out versus where you are now. Like I don't think do you think comics today are more aimed towards little kids, or do you think they're more aimed towards adults?
It depends.
I guess my gut instinct would say adults, but I don't have my finger on the pulse. I don't go into the shops, so I don't get to see the racks and get a sense of like there's a lot of kid stuff out, or there's a lot of Lady Death boobs around, or whatever it is.
I think it's the big two are aimed more towards kids, to where your Image. I think IDW is an interesting company that I think you need to keep an eye on the next couple of years, because they're kind of doing the both. They're doing the kind of kid stuff with the Turtles and the Power Rangers and Turtles and Transformers, but they're also giving you some more adult themed stuff now. And Image is very adult targeted with a lot of that stuff. So what's the other? Well, there's another one. IDW's killing it lately. I think they're one to watch. They're going to be a huge company, I think, in the next few years.
Boom.
If they keep going, Boom. Yeah, Boom with Power Rangers, like Boom too. Like they have the kind of that kid stuff, amateur stuff. They got a little bit of something for everybody. So I just think. Part of me questions how much longer will the big two be the big two? Who's going to step up? Will anyone step up to take them over?
I don't know, man, but I think it's they're going to come before there's any change. It's going to get way worse before it gets better. It just seems like corporations, marketing structures, and stuff like that. It's very hard to topple. It's very hard to prove the numbers wrong, but eventually it will. So
it won't happen until there isn't a buck to be made somewhere else.
Yeah.
If someone can't go, I'm going to put out this comic property and sell it, and it's going to make me $1 million, and I can make movies off of it and franchise it. When that's no longer a thing, that's when it's gonna course correct. And I've been saying it for a while. I personally think that there's going to be a course correction coming in comics sooner than you think. And I personally think that eBay and a lot of that stuff with how in the speculation market are going to be the cause of it. It's because of how quickly people catch on to books and how quickly they cool off. Like the market fluctuates so much. There's just that's what it seems like DC and Marvel's thing is like, oh, if our books are cooling off, let's throw a new first appearance in there. Like 6 months ago, even 3 months ago, nobody was talking about Batman Beyond. And now it's one of the hottest books in comics. Why? Because they introduced a new character, and they made it connected to an old character that people love. You know, so it's just like whatever you got to do to sell books, I guess. Whatever sells. More sex sells. More Travis on podcasts, that sells too.
We can. No, I was just thinking about. I'm like, we should write comics. I just want to write comic books.
Dude, I would totally write it, but it's the whole art thing that's a stumbling block for me.
Yeah, exactly.
There's ways around it though. If you want to write a comic, you can go on. Yeah, you can go on DeviantArt. You can find artists that'll work with you. It's just you got to have.
But having to pay them and I mean, I've actually written a few.
If you do good work, you don't do whatever you're good at for free, right? If you're good at
of course,
don't do it for free.
But that's the thing. It's like I would never expect to have anybody do it for free, but I don't exactly have the money to pay somebody decent.
Well, that's why you find someone who's up and coming and work out a deal. But it's out there if you want to do it. I would love to do comic books. I would love to do it. And it's so much easier now too with self-publishing and Amazon and all that. But
oh yeah, I mean you could even. I mean, doesn't Comixology has a huge like independent section of self-published books?
I've gotten quite a few off Kickstarter that I really loved.
But you don't, a lot of that. But that's the other question too. Is a lot of that independent stuff doesn't get backing from shops, and or Diamond. If you're not getting backed by Diamond, you're dead in the water. So
it's more of a calling card, like something that you have a product that you can market around to people. You know.
Yeah, but all right. I think that's a good place to jump off tonight. I think that was a good conversation and it really deeper into comics than we normally get on here. So. I appreciate that. Travis, I appreciate you jumping in and filling in for everyone when they bailed out.
I know.
Everyone just at the same time, just simultaneously bailed out.
I was folding clothes. I was about to go on a run. I had this on here, and then like everyone's like going goodbye. I'm like, oh, guess start ending early tonight. And I'm like,
I gotta save this. Yeah,
tag me in.
Save this. You're always welcome on the show, man.
Plus, I haven't got the chat with Jay in forever. I haven't. Right? We've been cross paths on podcasts.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
But all right, guys, I'm gonna let you go ahead and tell Jay. I'll start with you. Tell people where they can find you, man.
Well, I have I'm a co-founder of a music blog called Audio Ammunition, and we also have a podcast by the same name, and it's on all the podcatchers.
Podcatchers.
If you go to audioammunition.blogspot.com, you can find it there, as well as independent music reviews, interviews with independent bands and stuff like that. And I also do a podcast with Matt called Tales of the Spinner Rack every Tuesday night.
Yeah, we have to get you on one of those. I know it's hard with the time difference, but we have to get you on one of those. Travis.
And the weekly books. I guess I read them digitally. What
you read them digitally,
Jay? If someone's going into Audio Ammunition, do you have like a favorite, like an ep or something that like, hey, you know what was a really good one I really liked that was recent that you can? I'm gonna go for a jog. I'm gonna put in some Audio Ammunition. What should I be listening to?
Well, we just did our the podcast with our top 10 records of 2019, where we talk about that. That's pretty fun. That was a fun episode.
Yeah, I can get some new stuff then. Perfect. Yeah.
All right, and Travis, what about you? Tell us all about Comic Exposure.
Yeah, well, I've been on a couple times, so I'll keep it short. Comic Exposure. It's like I use the word comics. It's like a book club. It's kind of like a literary circle. Go check out comicexposure.com or the major podcast platforms. Check out the last episode. It's up. It's fresh podcast. Matt's on. He's talking everything Outcast. We had a good conversation. A lot of talk on one book, on one volume for an hour. So no very limited spoilers in there. So if you haven't read it and you're thinking about it, you can listen to the podcast. Maybe that will intrigue you to go pick it up and go read comics.
Yeah, absolutely. I gotta say again, thanks you guys for having me on. It was fantastic. I loved it. Hopefully you can be on again real soon. You guys have a great show. It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun talking comics, just breaking down comics like that, and in a certain volume. And Jay and I do it on Spinner Rack, and it's fun talking about the weekly readers. But there you're kind of being more judgmental on the good and bad, and
Yeah.
this was just fun dissecting a volume of a storyline. So that was a lot of fun.
It's fun to love a comic. It's fun to sit and love it for an hour, just sit there and just consume it.
So, but yeah, guys, definitely go check out Travis on Comic Exposure. Check out Jay every Wednesday or every Tuesday night on Tales from the Spinner Rack with me, and as well as checking out Audio Ammunition. But guys, if this is your first time finding us on YouTube, please make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. If you're coming over from Audio Ammunition or to our Comic Exposure, thank you guys for checking us out. Welcome. If you feel like we give you the content that you would normally expect from your normal where you consume podcasts, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. Yeah, if you find us every Friday night here, what's your guys' schedule like, Travis? What do you guys release?
It's either Saturday or Sunday.
Sporadic, right?
Yeah. We're not as good.
Jay's like once every 3 months.
We do once a month. But all we can muster up.
Consistent.
That's all you need is once a month, right? And if you're listening to this on Monday on any of your podcasting platforms, please make sure to leave us a review. It helps us a ton in the analytics. I want to say a special thanks to our newest Patreon, Max Bender. Thank you for donating and supporting the show. We greatly appreciate it. Guys, for this week's episode of the Absolute Geek Podcast, I am Matt.
I'm Jay.
I'm Travis.
And we'll see you guys next time.